Perfect. Okay, everyone. Thank you everyone for joining us for tonight's monthly ANC public meeting. This is ANC 5D. I'll be calling the meeting to order as chair, while noting that the time of commencement of tonight's meeting is 7:06 p.m. By calling this meeting to order, I'll hold a roll call of the commission to confirm quorum. 5D01 is currently vacant. 5D02.
Present.
5D03.
Present.
5D04.
Present.
5D05 is me, present. 5D06.
Present.
5D07.
Present.
5D08.
Present.
Okay, and 5D09.
Present.
Perfect. We have everyone present, excluding 5D01, which is vacant. We have quorum tonight. I'm going to go ahead and ask the commission if there's any changes needed to tonight's public meeting agenda, as been noticed to the public 1 week in advance.
I have one
Yes.
proposed change.
Yes, Commissioner?
I propose that we add a BZA voting action and remove another one. So that way we just swap one for the other. I would propose that we remove 1400 Montello Avenue and we add 1212 Oat Street Northeast. The Oat Street project, their BZA hearing is later this month, whereas 1400 Montello, their hearing is not until May, so we do still have some time. I've already spoken with the attorneys for both projects, and they're okay with the switch if we agree to do that.
Can you confirm the BZA case that we'll be adding?
Sure, it's case number 20853.
Okay. I move
And
that.
I see,
I believe that addresses within 5D06.
okay,
Okay, so I would oppose adding it to the agenda at this time. And I will
Well-
contact BZA to make sure that we have an opportunity to properly vet the project with the public.
well, 1400 Montello
Excuse me,
Avenue is.
Commissioner, excuse me for 1 second, please. Let's do this the right way so that we just make sure that, everybody has the opportunity to speak. So I think that you have made a proposal for BZ case 20853. And you stated the reason why. And so now we're going to open the floor for there to be any objections or for other comments. So I think Commissioner Henderson has something to say. We're going to give her 2 minutes to speak, and then you will get 1 minute to rebut.
Thank you, parliamentarian.
Again, I believe that this location is within 5D06. I am not aware of this issue, and I would ask that it not be acted upon by the commission this evening. And I will contact the BZA to make sure that my community has an opportunity to properly vet this project.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson. Is there any more comments with regards to making an addition to include the BZA 20853? Any more conversation from the floor? Okay, Commissioner.
Just in confirmation, Commissioner Henderson, you're saying that you were not aware of this project, or you're not privy to any
No.
information?
No.
Okay, so we're going to go back. Is there any more discussion with regards to adding 20853 to the agenda for discussion tonight? Okay, Commissioner Cobb, you have 1 minute to speak. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner May, I'm so sorry. You had something to say. Go for it. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No offense taken. I just did a quick search on through the Find Your ANC tracker, and it does say on here that that address is located in 5D04.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, then I withdraw my objection.
Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner Henderson withdraws her objection. Commissioner Cobb, would you like to say something else before we move to a vote on this?
Yeah, just these properties are both on the north side of Oates, so they bordered the old 5D06. I think that's what might be going on right now. But one's at the corner of Oates and Montello, and then the other is on the north side of Oates between Montello and Trinidad, both of which were an old 5D07 and are now in current 5D04. So yeah.
Well, actually, I know that
Commissioner Henderson, give me one moment, please. We've given you an opportunity to speak. We've also given the commissioner his opportunity to rebut any conversation. He took the time just to make further explanation. We're going to move now to a vote. I'll turn it back over.
discussion,
I'm sorry.
discussion.
2 minutes have
We've already had the discussion. We're past the 2 minutes for discussion.
I didn't exercise my full 2 minutes.
You did not, but we had an open 2 minutes for discussion.
I did not exercise my full 2 minutes, and I'd like the opportunity to finish discussion.
Unfortunately, you withdrew your opportunity to oppose this measure, and the 2 minute marks
That
to
doesn't
continue to
negate
speak
discussion.
the 2 minutes to discuss this matter has passed. I'm going to turn it back over to the chair so that we can proceed with the vote.
I mean, that's incorrect.
Commissioner Cobb, can you proceed with making your motion?
Yes, I move that we revise the agenda by adding BZA case 20853 for a voting action and removing BZA case 20885.
Thank you, Commissioner Cobb. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Opposed?
Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay, the ayes have it. We'll proceed and move forward with adjusting the agenda as presented by Commissioner Cobb. I do move that we also remove one PUD project that's was being presented in Union Market by Todd Christensen. They don't have a hearing date as of yet, so we'll be moving that to a later date. They'll be presenting directly to the commission at our next COW meeting later this month, and hopefully again to the public for consideration at the next meeting. I move that we remove Union Market Parcel C2 PUD presentation from tonight's voting action items. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Second by Commissioner Blacknell. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Commissioner May, can you make those edits to the agenda before I start screen sharing with the public?
Yes, give me 1 second here.
Thank you.
The only thing I won't have just yet is the link to the BZA case for the new case, but I'll get it up there as soon as I can.
Commissioner Cobb, can you share that with Commissioner May, please?
Sorry,
Or-
what was that? The link for
If you have the BZA link, I can directly embed it. And also, I don't know if we have a presenter name, but I'm happy to add that too once we do.
We do. The presenter is John Oliver. I see him among the attendees, and I will send you the link now.
Great, thank you. And then it was the Union Market parcel that we're striking.
Correct.
Wonderful. Okay.
Thank you.
Once I add that link, we're good. And it looks like I just got it.
Perfect. Let me just go ahead and start screen sharing this for you all.
Okay, should be good.
Thank you.
Somebody's hand is up, a Stephen Akira Rego. Commissioner.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Okay, so next up we have the adoption of the minutes. Commissioner May.
I still have my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Henderson, I didn't see your hand up. What was your hand up for?
The agenda, I asked that the ANC 5D letter to the mayor regarding the budget be removed. I don't have a copy of that letter, and the letter was not posted on the ANC's website for anyone's review.
Did you want to make a motion to
It
remove
is
the
so
letter?
moved.
Can you restate the motion?
So I move that we remove the ANC 5D letter to the mayor regarding the budget from Commissioner May until such time as I've had an opportunity to see the letter and it's posted on the ANC 5D website.
Okay, can Commissioner Henderson get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner McCollum. All in favor of the removal of the letter? Say aye.
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 Okay, we have two commissioners. All opposed, say nay.
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 Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay. The nays have it. We'll proceed with having the letter on the agenda and discussing it at the proper time when it comes up. Okay. So I move that we adopt the agenda as presented now by the commission here at 7:17 p.m. All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented and amended by the commission, say aye. Sorry, can I get a
Aye.
second for that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Black now. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Opposed?
Opposed by Commissioner Henderson, and any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it, the motion carries. We're adopting the agenda as presented now. Proceeding with the adoption of the minutes, we have our secretary, Commissioner May. Commissioner May, would you like to discuss the minutes from last month's agenda, from last month's meeting?
Sure. There's not, I don't think there's a whole lot special to discuss. The minutes, the draft minutes were first circulated to the rest of the commission on February 19th, and they are also posted in draft form on ANC5D's website. Otherwise, I think they're unspectacular.
Would you like to make a motion to adopt the minutes?
Sure. I move to adopt the minutes from the February 13th, 2023 meeting as presented.
I second that. All in favor of adopting the meeting minutes as presented by Commissioner May, our secretary, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain?
Okay, the ayes have it. The motion carries. We're adopting the meeting minutes from last month's meeting. Proceeding with our monthly treasurer's report, Commissioner Cobb, can you enlighten us with our current standing in bills and any bills that we spent or any cost or any of that financial?
Sure thing. So for last month, February 2023, we had an opening balance of $28,718.46. We had no allotments, and we incurred $1,903.40 in expenses, largely Verizon Fios bills. And that left us with a balance at the end of February of $26,815.06.
Perfect. Commissioner Cobb, can I ask that you just drop those figures in the chat for all the attendees to note?
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, that was our monthly treasurer's report. Are there any questions from the commission or the public regarding our monthly report? Okay, no questions. We'll proceed with standing presentations. So standing presentations are typically our general bit of tonight's meeting, where we have our public safety report, our report from the mayor, and our Ward 5 council member's office. We will start off by allowing commissioners to state reports on what's going on in their single member districts. 5D01, again, that's Union Market, and it's currently vacant. I believe that we do have one or two, I know we have one potential contender that's submitted petitions for that position. And you can find that information on the Board of Elections website. 5D02, that's Commissioner Rhodes in Ivy City.
Yes. Hello, everyone. We're doing commissioner reports, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Since we don't have a commissioner in 5D01,
Mhm.
I currently am the designated commissioner for that area. So if any residents have any questions, they can direct them to me at 5D05. And
Mhm.
again, if you're looking for information on the candidates, that can be found on the Board of Election websites. As commissioners, we don't engage. We can just assist by giving some insight, but it depends on the residents themselves to fill that seat. So you can go ahead, Commissioner, with Ivy City.
Okay. First, I would like to let everyone know that BOEE did do a presentation. They gave the results of the chemical samplings that was taken, and you can go on the DOEE website to get that information. EPA will be getting involved because some of the chemicals um, that they did test on was high in the facility and outside of the facility, which is in the community. So we will be letting you all know about the information on that. Also, I'm trying to get C Sosa on the call right now. We have a transitional home for returning citizens, and we had an incident where the FBI SWAT team came to serve a warrant, and it was excessive the way they did it because they raided two other transitional homes for returning citizens and basically turned the community upside down. So we will have Roach Brown with and he will be available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. 5D03, Commissioner Roblin.
Yes, hi. So I just wanted to mention a few general things first. One is that we are getting a lot of flyers done. We're going to put them up. And also some signs on corners we have a plan for, I believe, also, I think, so that we can get more people tuned in to our meetings and connected, and also some elders that aren't online. So they can't go to the website, they'll be able to see the flyers and call in. Okay. So last time I spoke about a property 1108 Montello, and a lot of problems to do with that. A lot of people were gathering, and not all of them were good actors. They were break-ins connected with people gathering there, constantly during the week, especially Fridays and Saturdays nights. People were going to the bathroom in other people's backyards, a lot of littering. So we have some good news on that. They're actually going to build their project is beginning for an apartment building after about 10 years of being empty. So the building will have 9 residential units and a ground floor commercial unit, and they're going to have a hearing to try and get some special exceptions passed. It's going to be a virtual hearing June 7th at 9:30 in the morning. The exceptions are for minimum parking requirements and lot occupancy. And if anyone here is connected with the issue, you can speak at the hearing if you want. I'll be coming into the neighborhood to talk to people to see if they have any issues, any reasons to be upset with any of the building plans. Okay, another issue. I went to a meeting we had notification of as an ANC called Coffee with a Cop. I met many police. It was in Union Market area. I spoke with Commander Altieri there, and he told me that we talked about, that we're having problems with safety in many areas in 5D. And I was talking to him about it, and he said that he's willing to engage in more hotspot policing. And he wants me to just gather the hot spots from every commissioner, and give them to him. And he says he will send more police out regularly. That's what hotspot policing is. The police come by and check in on any areas that are basically trouble areas. So we're working on that. As soon as I get all the lists from every commissioner, I'm going to speak with him and I'll update everybody on that. As far as the subcommittee that I'm setting up, as far as the support and action subcommittee that we're going to be, that I have planned, and we're going to be working on projects in the neighborhood to basically just do good things in the neighborhood. We'll select some projects. Different people will form different groups and work on different issues. We're also in the middle of setting that up as a subcommittee. We need to have a meeting about that, and then we can get that going. And I'm also, I wrote to the BEGA office, which is the ethics office for legal ethics issues in DC, to see if there are any legal issues we should pay attention to. It's also, I do write out a newsletter twice a month with different events and different news items. And if you'd like to be on my newsletter list, please just let me know. I'll leave my address in the chat, but it's the regular 5D03 address. And one more project, we're trying to get some Know Your Rights special presentations going. Commissioner Rhodes pointed out that we have some issues with gun ownership that would be really helpful if people knew their rights as to gun ownership. And a lot of people don't. So we're going to try to get some Know Your Rights presentations for gun ownership, for stop and frisk, for when you get stopped in your car, and when your door gets knocked on. The ACLU can do the stop and frisk one, but they don't do the other. So I'm talking to someone in I forgot the name of the legal group. It's a group that always deals with demonstrations and helps people out when they go into prison for demonstrations. Anyway, so we're working on that as well, and we hope to possibly have a Know Your Rights happening quarterly, and I think we should archive it and put it in our website or on the YouTube page. And that's it for right now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner for 5D04, Commissioner Cobb.
Thank you. Just two things. One, Transportation Committee. We are looking to bring on more people. I don't think there's a link on the website just yet. We're still working on that. But if you are interested in joining our Transportation Committee, just send me an email with your name, who your commissioner is, and just a background of why you're interested in joining and what you think you can bring to the table. And I will drop my email into the chat right now. The second thing is street sweeping. Street sweeping has started back up as of March 1st. And for the first 10 days, they were giving warning tickets, but now if you don't move your car, you actually will get a ticket. So please be sure to move your car. You don't want a ticket. And the street sweeping does make a big difference with helping keep the trash down around here. So that's all.
Thank you, Commissioner. As the Commissioner 5D05, just want to echo again, street sweeping, like Commissioner Cobb. If your block has not been seeing street sweeping done, please reach out to your ANC commissioner. I know a few blocks here in 5D05 in Northern Trinidad and Mount Olivet have been being skipped. So we've been addressing that to the proper individuals with DPW. So if you're having issues with Department of Public Works not doing what they're designated to do on certain days and times on your street, on your block, please address that to an ANC commissioner. Follow up with the sidewalk repairs on some of the blocks and streets here in 5D05. It's still ongoing. We're still getting speed humps installed. It's been a little delayed, but it's an ongoing project. So luckily, majority of the sidewalk repairs have been completed. We're just waiting for the speed hump part now to come into play when it comes to this project. We are having, echoing what some of the other commissioners have mentioned, just putting in some more details on it. For next month's meeting, I have been requesting our violence interrupters across South Ward 5 to attend our next ANC public meeting. So please feel free to join that meeting next month, as we'll be having a lot of plentiful information as the warm weather is coming back to us. Crime tends to pick up during the sunny days in the city. So being that the warmer weather is approaching, where I'm trying to get the commission proactive and neighbors proactive to know who are their resources on the block when it comes to crime or violence. As well as we'll also be having what Commissioner Rhodes said, we'll be having Mr. Brown also attend next month's meeting, as he will be discussing the transitional homes for returning citizens. He is interested in bringing one towards what was once a women's shelter on Sims Place and turning that into a transitional home for returning citizens. I have been in contact with Mr. Brown regarding this project, and it looks like he is interested in assisting our trash issue that we have here in Mount Olivet, specifically on Sims, Rom, Miggs, and Corcoran Street. Seeing if the returning citizens, individuals part of this program, can actually assist us with some of the trash issues on our block. So I'm excited for that potential collaboration. And as well, just if you need to reach me, you can easily reach me at 5d05@anc.dc.gov. 5d06, Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, I held a meeting to discuss a parking petition, a request for residential parking that had been outstanding since 2021. I've submitted that updated parking petition to DDOT for implementation at the request of the affected residents. I also reached out to Mudrix, the owner of Mudrix, to reinvigorate a viable partnership that ends the loitering in front of that store and drug trafficking. So that's effective as of Friday, when after my single member district meeting, I had the owner clean in front of the establishment and remove all of those bikes out there. And the owner committed to keeping a log of barred individuals, and he also agreed to buy some planters to add a nice touch of greenery, because that the congregating there is unacceptable. I continue to meet with Commander Altieri and the 5D team. I have an office at the 5th District. So Commissioner Roland, I don't need you to provide any information to Commander Altieri regarding hotspots in my area. I'm getting regular patrols, and I certainly will expect to continue to get regular proactive patrolling throughout the area to make sure that the community is safe. I also reached out to CVS and the leadership to remove chairs, trash, and individuals on the site. The site is still clean and incident-free. I'm also working with the police to address an individual who broke a window, so we can hold that individual properly accountable. My newsletter's finished, and I look forward to start the dissemination. And I will be testifying tomorrow at the hearing on DPW regarding trash collection issues in the community. So I continue to be proactive on behalf of people that I represent, and I look forward to continuing to engage with all of the persons that I have the pleasure and honor of representing.
5D07, Commissioner McCollum.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to just report, I'm going to defer my time to a constituent that's on, but I would like to just commend DOB. There is at 1800 H Street, there is illegal construction that has gone on in a row home that's adjacent and attached. Um, and pretty much the house, the individuals who've been working on the home have done a complete gut and rehab to the home, new electric, new plumbing, and there has not been one permit. And so it was brought to my attention and went over, actually saw some of the individuals working on the property. I asked them to leave. Police asked them to leave. They came back the next day, started again on a Sunday. And so on Monday morning, I sent a letter to DOB. And I CC'd the entire commission because, in my opinion, even though it impacts my constituents directly, it's something that all of us could have happening right at our, next door to us. And so DOB was very proactive. They sent an inspector over. They could tell from an external viewpoint that there had been significant amount of renovations done without permits. And so I want to commend DOB. I know oftentimes it's easy for them to get complaints, but this is one time that they were on time and they did do what was in the best interest for my constituents. I want to talk about parking enforcement and also proactive policing for hot spots. Parking enforcement, I do echo what one of the commissioners said, that now we are in the middle of street sweeping. For me personally, on H Street and I and 17th and 19th, there's so much construction going on over here that, and with the construction, you have most of those individuals who are working on these projects that are parking their cars and they're taking spaces away from neighbors and constituents. This will be a no-go for me. I plan to work with DPW, work with DDOT, and work with parking enforcement to do whatever we can. We had an individual that almost had a head-on collision coming off one of the streets going over into 17th Street. And that's because the construction site employees are parking all the way up to the stop sign at H and 17th. And we just can't have that. And so I want to just, if any of my constituents are on now, I ask you to please, please, please let me know, take pictures, get them to me. I am on it. I hear you, and we will not stand for that. Also, I wanted to just say that I've sent a letter to a proactive request to the police precinct here with regards to chairs, trash, and individuals, as the Commissioner Henderson said, chairs, trash, and individuals. We have that taking place on 19th Street at the corner in an alleyway, and at the store that's Benning and 19th. My letter, I felt like Commander Altieri, he did respond pretty. I guess he gave a general response that can be accepted, but I was not pleased with the captain's response. I do plan to follow up on that email, but I did have one of my constituents who this impacts her and her mother directly. She's on now, and I wanted to ask the chair if you would allow Vicky Thomas to please have about 1 minute to just speak to this.
Yes, Commissioner McCollum, they will have 1 minute to speak.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas, if you're there, go ahead.
Would it be Stuart Thomas, maybe?
No, it's going to be under Vicky Thomas.
Oh, I see. Thank you. Ms. Thomas, you're able to unmute yourself and speak if you can speak.
You hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My house is on the corner of 19th Street, and right beside my house, there's the alley, and then there's the store. In front of the store on 19th Street, there's drug dealers right there at the corner. I can have, because it's getting warmer, more and more people are coming out and standing in front of the store and trashing in front of the store. Also, they peeing in the back alley where I live at, and they're parking their vehicles in front of the residents, not only in front of my house, but homes next door to me and in their home in front of them. So they're parking in our parking spaces. So we're not able to park because they're using their vehicles, and then they stay there until 11 and 12 o'clock at night, depending on what they, how much action they get. And I have an issue with a camera that's right in front of them, but I hear that the camera does not work. And I'm trying to figure out why it doesn't work, because police can actually see them dealing the drugs right in front of the camera.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. I do appreciate that. I want to, and I had Ms. Thomas to come on just to share her sentiments publicly, because in my email and letter that I sent to the commander, I asked for some type of proactive approach to this area, and I was met with the crime that is taking place there, if any, it's drug crime, and it's at a minimum in comparison to what's taking place all over the city. And I just think that for my constituents to have to get that type of response back, it's unacceptable. So I'm not going to stop there. But the main thing I just wanted my constituents to know today is that I'm on top of it. I hear you. I'm out there. But please, if there's anything that you hear or see that's taking place as it relates to illegal construction, the parking situation, or if you have a hotspot area that's close to your home and you're concerned, please get in contact with me. I'll put my email here. I think a lot of you already have my phone number, but I'll also put my public phone number here for you as well. Be in touch with me, and I promise you that I'll do everything that I can, to be in this with you. Thank you.
Commissioner McCollum, is Ms. Thomas's home the property that has like the fence, the stone fence?
Yes, it's the white home that's directly behind the store.
Got it. Yes, I'm familiar with that. Okay. Just a friendly reminder for all our residents, Union Market has seen a higher presence of policing because the residents of Union Market, although new at times to the neighborhood, have been calling 911 a lot more frequently than the rest of South Ward 5. So friendly reminder, even if you are a little jaded or hesitant to call 911 just because of the reaction or response that you get from them, call them anyways. So please dial 911.
Yes.
Commissioner May, 5D08.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight and coming out for this meeting. I have a couple of quick updates. I was going to echo the same street cleaning comment. As everyone by now knows, it has started. What I will just note, I had a couple of residents reach out with concerns about blocks in 5D08 not being properly cleaned. And what DPW shared with me is that they will begin enforcing the no parking restrictions and ticketing and potentially moving vehicles this week. So that should hopefully help. But what I'll just encourage everyone here generally to do is, remind your neighbors and other folks to move vehicles. That will make it easier for street cleaning to take place properly, which is something that I think we all want. And then let's see, beyond that, I've had a couple of meetings this month with folks over at the Carver Terrace apartment complex. So getting to know them a little bit. Some of you may know Carver Terrace has new management, and there are some developing plans for renovation, refurbishment there, similar to the Langston Terrace redevelopment that we heard about at last month's meeting. So I don't have that level of detail yet, but I'm learning more about that. And we'll continue to work with the new management company there, as well as residents of the community to learn more about the project, how it'll affect residents, and look forward to certainly sharing updates with 5D more generally once we know more about what those plans will look like. In addition to that, I've also had the opportunity to attend a couple of the recent oversight hearings, testify at one on the Department of Parks and Recreation as well. And those are my primary updates for this month. I will also note a couple people have mentioned newsletters. I'm also working to develop a newsletter and would certainly love to include more residents of my single member district. So I'm going to drop in here. I've created a little single member district website for ANC 5D08. So if you're a resident of 5D08 here in Carver Langston, I'd love to encourage you to go on and submit the form there so that I can include you on my newsletter. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner for 5G09, Commissioner Blacknell.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm Bernice Blacknell, the ANC Commissioner for 5D09. I have about 3 updates. Finally, the Department of General Service is trying to secure a Spingarn there. They're supposed to be putting up a fence and everything in the next couple of weeks. Langston Day is on August the 19th. I do not have the time yet, and everybody is welcome to come to the Langston Day. It is their 85th anniversary. I also have an issue dealing with abandoned cars at the Arboretum on M Street and Maryland Avenue. I'm working with Mr. Oliver from Councilmember Zachary Parker's office and everything. So those are my updates for now.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mm.
So closing off the hour, we'll be having our public safety report by the 5th District. Let's see, who do we have here representing MPD? Captain Merrill, is that you?
Yes, Commissioner, how you doing?
Good, good, good. I promoted you to panelist if you want to use your video, but feel free to start whenever you like.
Sure. I'm trying to hit the button.
Might have to see your pretty face another day, Captain Merrill. You can go ahead and speak, though. We can hear you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me better now?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you see me now?
There we go. Yes, sir. Thank you.
No problem. And ADWs, we had 8 ADWs compared to 11 the 30th days before, and 7 of those were domestic related, and 6 of those have been closed out. And also on reference to Commander McCollum's reference to 19th and Benning, we've been working on that for a long time, especially with Seidel Moore, Commissioner Moore, who used to be the ANC commissioner there. And the information that me and the commander shared with the commissioner, that was confidential information. We were trying to be transparent with you. Our citywide drug unit and our crime suppression team did observation posts, and they did a operation at 19th and Benning. And those were the recommendations that they gave us. And we were trying to just give it to you, Commissioner, just to be transparent. It wasn't for your citizens. It wasn't us saying we're not going to do nothing. It was just us being transparent. So that's what we were just trying to do with you. 19th and Benning is something that we're not giving up on. We work closely with that owner. We got the fence put up there. The camera does work. I don't know who told you the camera doesn't work, but the camera does work there. And our crime suppression team does continue to hit that alley. We're trying to do a DPW sweep as far as the parking issue goes and cleaning up that back alley. And like I said, we continue to go through that back alley as well. We've made drug arrests there over the past month, and we'll continue to hit that alley.
Is that it, Captain Merrill?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Commissioner, sorry, Commissioner McCollum, I'll let you respond first, and then I'll let the other commissioners, based on SMD, go ahead and ask any questions, just because you were addressed directly.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Captain, for being here tonight. I do want to just clear up something. The information that we discussed or that you sent back to me in the email, I have not shared any of that information with my constituents. So I want to make sure that that's wherever that was translated, that was not the case. I have not responded to your email, nor have I shared that with any of my constituents. Ms. Thomas spoke to someone who told her that a camera did not work. And I do believe the confidential conversations that you and I had, that's not what we talked about, a camera not working. So I clearly have not communicated, that a camera didn't work or what we spoke about. I just wanted to address the fact that my constituents came to me about the issue on 19th and Benning and also 18th and Benning. I wanted to make it very clear that when my constituents come to me with an issue, I am going to take it to those entities that I feel like are the front line that should be there handling that. And I have to give some type of report back, especially when we're not seeing activity there, or we're not, what was brought to me is that my constituents are seeing police cars in certain spaces or in certain places, and they're not seeing them in their areas, particularly at their homes where they cannot sit out on their porches. And so I just wanted to make sure that I conveyed that. And I wanted to have someone here tonight that could speak publicly to address the dire concerns that they have about the area. And as I said, which was not confidential in my letter to you all, I want to be more proactive because we're only one incident away from something happening there on the corner or on the corner in 18th Street. And I think my concern was more about that. I did bring up a camera, but I brought up more mobile cameras that could be there. And that resolution really was not met with any type of option. So I was not discussing anything that you gave back to me, but I do have to publicly let my constituents know when there is an issue that I have taken forward, and I have to be able to give them some type of feedback.
Oh, I understand, Commissioner. You just said you didn't like our response, so I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't because of your constituents or anything like that. I'm not sure what part of it that you didn't like, but it was just meant to be a briefing to you, just to let you know what was going on. And in reference to that camera, also, I'll let you know that that camera's at 21st and Bennett Place, and we only have a very few of those cameras, and we can't move that from 21st and Bennett Place because that saves lives. Carver Terrace and Langston go back and forth shooting each other. And since we've had that camera, we haven't, knock on wood, we haven't had any homicides over there. So that camera saves lives. So that's why that camera can't be moved from 21st and Bennett Place.
I appreciate you clearing that up. I think that maybe it was just, when things are written, sometimes the tone doesn't come across that way. I will say that my letter was more a proactive letter, and I sent that to Commander Altieri. And then whenever I got the response back from him, and then following his response, your response, it did not come across the way that you've presented tonight. So I am glad that we are able to publicly, speak and even say that after this we can work together. I will follow up your email to me back with some type of response. So I do thank you for clearing that up.
Thank you.
5D02, any questions, Commissioner Rhodes? 5D03.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Rhodes. 5D03, any questions?
Officer, did you say that you don't have enough cameras? Like there's not enough funds for enough cameras to put them in both places?
No, I was saying we don't have we have mobile cameras that are very sophisticated. We only have very few of those in the 5th district. We don't usually give out the exact number, but it's you can count them on one hand if you want to know that. So we don't have, we don't have that. Though the mobile cameras that the commissioner was talking about, we don't have a lot of those resources in the 5th district, no.
But should there be a camera at 18th and 19th and Benning?
There's 2 cameras at 19th and Benning.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Commissioner. 5D04, any questions?
Nothing at this moment.
Okay, I'm 5D05. I just had 2 things just to briefly bring up with that we have we have a question from the public. Can you please speak to the continuously increasing activity at the open air drug market spanning from 1801 West Virginia Avenue into Lois Crow Park? Is there a plan to address that this year?
Yeah, we've Ms. Berger from the OAG, we've been in consultation with the owners over at it was the Valero gas station, now it's the Exxon, the strip mall.
Yes.
They've been cooperative with us. They put up cameras. They've gotten better with the barring notices. They have a list now that they keep, and they keep a record of all of them. So they've gotten much better with that. We cooperate with them better. The area, it's just, there's a lot of, not necessarily drug dealing going on with it. There's a lot of drug users.
Drug use.
So that's very prevalent over there. We try to work with DBH and any other agencies that can come out and assist us with that. Lewis Crow Park still is under the jurisdiction of the Housing Authority. It hasn't been turned over to DC government yet. So Housing Authority still has primary authority over the Lewis Crow Park, but we assist them with anything that they need.
Thank you, Captain. And nothing, it's not directly involved with MPD, but I think MPD gets this question a lot regarding that area. There is a noise deterrent by the owner of this strip mall on top of one of the buildings next to Exxon, and DOB and Department of Buildings and the Office of the Attorney General are currently investigating the parameters of that noise. So I just want to just put that in there while we're on this area. And then I don't really have a question. I just want to just let you know, I don't say a lot of good things about MPD that much, so I just want to just do a shout out to 2 officers. I didn't get their name, but it was two women that addressed a potential overdose situation at in front of our boxing gym on Mount Olivet, and they responded and reacted amazingly. So did fire EMS. This was at 3 o'clock on Saturday, so I don't know if you can get me their information just to say, you responded to this situation, and what I saw from beginning to end was just what I feel like every officer should handle the situation as. So just shout out to those young ladies that responded and came out to Mount Olivet to address that particular situation with a young individual that was potentially going through an overdose. They did really well. I was very proud of them, and I hope that we see that across the board with all officers. So I know there's some bad apples here and there, but you had some fine individuals respond on that case. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And I'll find out who they were and I'll pass on your regards and I'll let you know, just so you know for future reference.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson, 5D06.
Yes, Captain Merrill, I want to go back to 19th and Benning Road, the Food 7 store. You said that you worked with Seidel Moore. I know that when my term ended, before my term ended, I made sure that there was extra police presence over there. And that store owner is very, very cooperative, has a number of cameras that have assisted MPD with bringing suspects to justice. And we want to make sure, and the owner is, again, very proactive. He has remodeled the store. I participated with him along with a number of officers and the community to celebrate the reopening, which is wonderful. And we don't want those individuals out there loitering on the other side of that fence selling drugs. I have called the police many times. I have a vested interest in that block. I have tenants over there and they're complaining, and we want substantive policing action. Now, regarding the policing that's in my area, I'm very happy about that, but you can also share those police resources over there and of course at the Starburst Plaza to make sure that they should know when you're coming. And we want the officers to be proactive. So summers is almost here. It's going to be 67 degrees on Friday. We cannot have an uptick in crime on that block or anywhere in our area. So I would like you to redouble your efforts to make sure that we are doing what we need to do to be safe. And also, since you have a particular expertise with towing cars, there are a number of cars throughout ANC 5D that don't have any tags and should be towed. So I'd like to task you with specifically addressing that for remediation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner.
5D08, any questions?
No questions, but I will actually echo Commissioner Henderson. I think there are a lot of vehicles in 5D that have expired or no tags, as Commissioner Henderson said. I think that is certainly something that we want to see addressed and taken care of. I know there's also an issue, as Commissioner Blacknell mentioned earlier, with some abandoned vehicles down at the end of Maryland Avenue. So in both of those regards, I think that's an important quality of life issue here in 5D.
Perfect.
I appreciate it. Also, if you guys can reach out, I'll reach out as well. Mr. Hainsworth from DPW. He can come out, they can do a sweep, and we can go ahead and get all those vehicles. We can ticket and get everything out of there at one time. So if you have a specific area, let me know, but I'll get with Mr. Hainsworth and we'll get something going.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Blacknell, any questions?
Yes. Hi, Captain Murrah.
Hello, Ms. Backbone.
Yes, how are you? I have 3 hot spots that I would like to bring out to you.
Okay.
Instead of me emailing, I didn't know you was going to speak tonight. But these areas are areas that my constituents are complaining about, and you probably already know about them. It's the 1900 block of I Street and the 2000 block of I Street, the middle of the block where the drug boys hang out at. Also, the 900 and 902 21st Street. That's on the Carbon Terrace side. And I know you had probably heard from Miss Juanita Diggs, that little open area down there that's on the 1100 block of 21st Street, but it's right across the street from where she live at.
Mhm.
She lives 1113.
Yes, the
That's
parking lot.
another hot. Yeah, that there used to be a playground there.
Hmm.
That were and the Arboretum. I don't know if you received anything in reference to the Arboretum, but I'm working with Oliver from Council Member Zachary Parker's office. Um, there are illegal cars down there. It's like a little street garage.
At the Arboretum?
Yes. Some people call it the back part of the Arboretum, but it's not
Oh,
really the back part. Years ago, it's the
I know.
main entrance.
I know you're talking about like the R Street. It's like I know
No,
it's
it's
near
on
the
M
5D.
Street. It's
Yeah,
on
yeah,
M Street.
by the 5D station. Well, not too far from the 5D station.
No, it's on M Street, Maryland
Oh,
Avenue and M Street.
oh, N Street. Okay, okay.
M
M
Street.
like mayor.
M is in Mary.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yes. Some people call it the back gate. It's not really the back gate. Years
Yeah, that's
ago,
right.
it was called the main entrance. The police cars used to sit down there, but all of a sudden they stopped.
Okay. All right. We'll go down and take a look at that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
those are my hotspot areas for now. Now that camera down there in Langston and Bennett Place, it has been helping a lot.
Definitely. I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
it has helped a lot. You know, and I do appreciate that being down there. I mean, that needs to stay down there because it's going to get hot, and that's where they hang out at too.
It will stay
Right there
right
in that area.
It will stay right there, Miss Black now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, Captain, I think that's all we have for you tonight. Can you just drop your email in the chat or anyone that we should be reaching out to in terms of the public? And we'll be able to follow up with any questions that we might have further.
Sure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on with the agenda, we have our Executive Office of the Mayor, Mr. Christopher Ingram, promoting you to panelists right now. Friendly reminder, if you have any questions on for tonight's presenters or tonight's presentation, feel free to drop them in the Q&A function, and we'll make sure to address them. Okay, Mr. Ingram and Mr. Black are Ward 5 Mokers. I promoted y'all to panelists.
How you guys doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you guys can see me. I ain't get that option to turn my camera on, Commissioner.
Oh, you should have it.
I don't have. So, my name is Christopher Ingram. I'm the Ward 5 Mocha. Hi to all my commissioners and the community. All my new commissioners, feel free to reach out to me. I have a new partner, Anthony Black, as well, and we will be conducting a sweep tomorrow in you guys SMD. So feel free to send us over them hotspots as well with the abandoned cars, so we could definitely take a look at them and put them in 311 as well. And if you guys would like to come out tomorrow, we will be meeting at the Circuit 7 to conduct a walk. So feel free to come out if you guys want to walk inside the community as well. And I will hand it over to Mr. Anthony Black for you to introduce himself.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Black. Though I'm still getting accustomed to the position, I truly look forward to assisting and servicing everyone in the community. I will drop my, if I have the capabilities, Commissioner, I would love to drop my email and contact in the chat so that you can get in contact with me anytime you need to. Again, thank you for having me, and I look forward to attending these meetings on a regular basis.
Mr. Black, not to put you on the spot, but can you remind us what MOKER stands for and what y'all's job and role is in Ward 5?
So MOKER is acronym for Mayor's Office of Community Relations. And I'm just simply a community liaison between the community as well as and the mayor. Our job is to assist with finding the proper agencies to deal with any incidents or whatever the case may be. We also attend the critical incidents in the ward, shootings, homicides, fires. So that's what we do.
Perfect. Any questions from the commissioners? Go down the roll. 5D01, 502, 5. You have any, Commissioner Rhodes? You can nod your head and I can take that as a no.
No, I don't.
Okay. 5D03.
No, thank you.
5D04.
No, thanks.
Okay, 5D05 is myself. To our mokers, Mr. Ingram, Mr. Black, just if you can give me a follow-up on the fire that occurred in 5D05 a few weeks ago. I would like an update on that, see where the Red Cross kind of finished in terms of providing housing assistance to those folks that were unhoused for losing their homes in that fire over here on the east end of 5D05. So if you can just help by following up with that with me on that, I would truly appreciate it.
No problem.
Definitely not a problem at all.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson, you got a question?
So, Mr. Ingram, thank you for providing gift cards to those individuals affected by the fire on L Street. And looking at my alleys, as you can see, they were not in the condition that I would prefer that they be in. And I've expressed to you ongoing concerns about inconsistent service delivery from DPW, so I want that to be the highest priority. You said something about a walk at Circuit 7. Circuit 7, what are you talking about? Are you talking about Food 7? Or...
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Food 7. So me and my partner will be heading there tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Then you guys can meet it there, and we just gonna do we're gonna do a walk inside the community just to see if we can come across any issue like alley cleaning, abandoned vehicles, anything that's out of the ordinary that we can put in 311.
Well, you'll get an eyeful, but the issue with 311, and I forgot to mention too, that I had a meeting with Councilmember Nadeau on Friday about DPW. Unfortunately, when you put in a service request, someone at DPW is then responding that nothing was found that warrants sanitation enforcement, which is false and unacceptable. So I want you to focus on that, bring it to their attention to let them know that's not going to be tolerated. So there's a hearing tomorrow. I will be there, and we're not going to tolerate piss poor service from DPW. DPW is a core city agency, and they need to be right up there with the police in terms of making sure that the city is clean. And I'm going to start in my single member district and the areas around us and the other single member districts, because where there is trash, there is crime. So they need to address it. So, but thank you so much for your follow-up, and I'll be talking to you offline tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Henderson, can you clarify what hearing you're referencing and what time that hearing is?
The hearing is, it's on the council's website. It's a DPW hearing on Timothy Springs.
Okay, I'm only asking because I testified at the oversight hearing for DPW, so just wondering if it was something in regards to that. Commissioner McCollum, did you have any questions for the mokers?
I'd just like to ask if they would just drop their emails and phone numbers here for follow-up with regards to I guess their tour around the 5D tomorrow. For some of us that will not be able to make it due to work, I would like to follow up with them, and also if I could provide them with some areas to look into tomorrow when they are doing their walk.
Yes, sir. It's not giving me access to the chat, Commissioner.
The easiest thing for you to do, Mr. Ingram or Mr. Black, is just drop the information in the Q&A feature where it could be best displayed to the whole public.
Okay.
As if you were asking a question.
Copy.
Thank you. 5D08, any questions for our mokers?
No, thank you.
Okay, and Commissioner Black now?
Yes. Hey, Mr. Ingram, how are you?
How you doing? I'm doing fine.
when you do your walk through tomorrow, could you please walk through M Street and Maryland Avenue?
Yes, ma'am.
Because my constituents have been complaining about that little spot down there. And I hate to say it, 311 is not very nice to my constituents when they call there and everything. So could you please stop by there and get with Oliver, and maybe y'all two can work something out, please?
Yes, yes, ma'am. So I'm gonna reach out to Mr. Oliver, but I will be down there tomorrow at 11 o'clock to check on your issues.
Yeah, reach out to him because he has pictures and everything. It's going to take the mokers and all the other government departments to get that area straight down there.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions from the commissioners? I don't see any directed towards the mokers from the public. No. Okay. Well, Mr. Younger, Mr. Black, thank you so much for joining us for tonight's meeting. We look forward to continue working with y'all.
No problem.
Y'all have a good one.
Thank you for having us.
Let's see. Mr. Stout, I see that you are here. Why does it keep changing on me? Okay, Mr. Stout, you've been promoted to panelist. Mr. Oliver Stout is a representative from our Ward 5 council member's office, Councilmember Zachary Parker. And he'll be speaking on behalf of the office and taking questions from any commissioners and the public. Friendly reminder, if you have a question, drop it in the Q&A function on this platform. Mr. Stout, are you there?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm not sharing anything here. You guys can't see my face, but I'll just go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
So we have a couple of just highlights that we have to get into. One is new legislation, which were the street designations in honor of our prominent Black figures with ties to Ward 5. Also, the district child tax credit. News on our senior advisory committee and the Brentwood meeting that we had just recently. So we can go into those. So as far as our street designations, on Tuesday, February 28th was the last day of Black History Month. The Councilmember Parker had introduced legislation to designate streets in Ward 5 to 8 prominent Black figures with ties to the ward, which were in Brooklyn, Sterling A. Brown, Woodridge, we had William R. Spalding. And as far as Trinidad is concerned, in R5D area, we had Edna Brown, who was a Delta Sigma sorority founder. We have Alexander Kreml, who was a teacher and preacher as well. He taught at Howard University. Also, we have from Carver Langston, which was John Mercer Langston. And Carver Langston is George Washington Carver and John Mercer Langston's name. And that's about it as far as 5D is concerned. So we also get into our legislation for the district child tax credit. On Friday, well, March 3rd, Councilmember introduced the district child tax credit, which was co-introduced by our other council members, Alan Henderson, Louis George, Nadeau Pinto, Robert White, and Trayon White. The goal of this bill was to provide families greater assistance to care for children. We know that the rise of financial floor for families correlates with a stronger academic health, as well as we know that DC has one of the highest cost of living in the country. So what that will do is provide up to $500 per child to tax credit to low and middle income individuals making less than 120,000. As for joint filers, they will be have to earning up to 175,000 together to receive the credit. We also, this past week on Friday, the council member chose 15 applicants that he selected for the Senior Advisory Committee, and they will basically advise on the quality of life issues facing our seniors and legislation that correlates with them as well. These matters include senior activities, transportation services, home aid services, senior living facilities, accessibility and in-home safety, as well as senior home retention. The committee is consist of 50 members. We're going to just choose, he was going to single-handedly choose 9, but we moved that up to 15. And we will be meeting with them in April. So more to come on that as well. As far as our community meeting in Brentwood, this was, we had the community meeting at Brentwood Center to address the community's concerns about the proposed W Street Aussie bus terminal project and the environmental injustice in the neighborhood. So we were represented and we were assisted with Empowerment DC with Commissioner Rhodes and Commissioner Darlene. Basically, our takeaways from that was that we need to look into enforcing our current laws around pollution to address the dust and the debris within those communities. Also looking into current zoning maps to see what needs to be changed to prevent continued environmental injustices. As far as other updates that we have, the council member will have a breakfast on Wednesday. So it would be a breakfast with the council member. The address for that is 308 Florida Avenue at Illuminations Incorporated. Also, as Commissioner Cobb and Salvador, as well as everyone else, has spoke about today, was the DPW will be issuing warnings for parked vehicles. As far as the sweeping periods, March 10th was the last day. So Friday, they will be putting out, after Friday, they will be putting out signs when they do sweeping. Also, as far as what we are doing in working within the community right now, what I'm assisting with is I want to go visit, on Friday, I want to visit the DBH mobile unit. We will be trying to bring that to Trinidad. So I'm working with Commissioner Rhodes and Salvador as we coordinate to make that happen. Other things that I have to get to would be a lot of abandoned houses, as well as abandoned cars that need our attendance. As far as us getting those done, I have a number of different addresses that we've been from West Virginia Avenue. I think it was 1704, another one 1723, also Maryland Avenue and M Street, as far as the homeless encampments and the cars that are sitting in that area. And yeah, that's about it. It's from our office. So if you guys have any questions, please reach out to me, or I'll drop my information, as well as you guys can stay up to date with the newsletter and gain all War 5 updates, just as the things that I just had spoke of. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Stout. Yes, any questions from the commission? Feel free to raise your hand and I'll let y'all speak. Seeing none directly, I see Commissioner Henderson has a question.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Stout. It was good seeing you on the 27th. I did enjoy the meeting with the council member and I think it was productive. I want to make sure that we continue to focus on some key issues. And for me, DPW is a key issue. I can't stress it enough that they need to be consistent. We can't have excellent, trash services this week and piss poor trash services next week, or no services the week after. It needs to be consistent. And I'm also very concerned about the work that's being done throughout 5D, and some of these buildings do not have permits.
Yes.
We are not getting I'm not getting raised permits. So we are looking at Bill. I've reached out to the director of DOB, my good friend, Mr. Chapra, to get a list of the status of all the buildings in my area that have no permit. I want to know what the status is because I'm not seeing the appropriate building permits. I have a building that one day it was intact and the next minute it was a shell. So there's no communication, there's no appropriate, consistent communication to the community. Certainly, I need to have this information so that I can address any concerns that my constituents have. So I want to, again, applaud you all for being proactive and cordial going forward. And I look forward to a good level of collaboration that actually results in my concerns being resolved. Thank you again.
Yes, ma'am. I look forward to working with you in that manner as well. Like I said, you could always reach out to me. We have been seeing a number of those type of issues within 5D, as well as with DPW when it comes to sweeping. Specifically, we just received a complaint in regards to Trinidad on Holbrook, as far as the street sweeping in there. So we've been handling that. And like I said, you could always reach out to me and then we'll escalate it from there.
Thank you.
Mr. Stout, do you know what the council member's position on is in terms of DPW? Any goals or points that he's trying to address? I'm currently working with Councilwoman Nadeau to hire more Latinos in Department of Public Works because I rarely see anyone of Latino descent working in that agency. And I think the agency is understaffed, lacks leadership, and needs more funding to really tackle a lot of the issues across the district. East of the river has it worse, just like South Ward 5. And currently I'm working on building a coalition of ANC chairs in Ward 7 and Ward 8 to address the issue with Department of Public Works. But does the council member have anything directly to say about this issue in general?
As of right now, that is a great question, and I do not have an exact answer for you. But what I will do is I will bring that to his attention and I'll be able to get back to you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rhodes, you had a question?
I do. We're having issues, and I'm not sure, Oliver, if you can address this. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. There's a lot of illegal parking in Union Market, and folks are parking by fire extinguishers on the sidewalk. But here in Ivy City, folks get tickets just for parking in front of their homes. So is that a matter? There's something that the council member can check on, please?
Yeah,
because folks in
look into
Union Market that are that need the sidewalks with wheelchairs and disabilities and moms with strollers, they can't get through. They have to go on the street, which is not cool. So can the council member check into that, please?
Yes, we'll definitely look into that.
Not only are we getting tickets parking in front of our homes, but we're getting tickets. We have a street sweeping sign on Providence and no street sweeping, but everyone is getting tickets. So I sent an email to DPW about it. They said that the signs are legit and people shouldn't park during street sweeping days, but we're not getting any street sweeping.
If you could add me to that email, that would be great as well as we move forward with that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner O'Connell, you had a question?
Yes, sir. Mr. Stout, thank you for being here today. Thank you for your service as well. I just kind of wanted to piggyback off of Commissioner Henderson and Commissioner Rhodes with regards to the illegal parking and also just the services that we're getting from DPW. I'd like to add another layer to that, which is commercial properties, or I guess I should say buildings that have it more than 4 units inside, they're required to have commercial trash pickup. And so one of the issues that I'm having in my area is the alley on one side would be residents of the community, and then the alley on the other side are these buildings that have multiple units. And so when DPW is going down the alley, they're only picking up the one side, which by law and by right is what they're obligated to do. But what we're running into is that there's no enforcement to these building owners with regards to their tenants just throwing trash, televisions, furniture, just putting everything in these alleys. I've witnessed myself tenants stepping out on their balcony and taking a full bag of trash and just dropping it into the alley. Wherever it lands, it just lands. Or alleys that do not even have access to some type of dumpster for their tenants to place the trash. And so I wanted to see if I could work with you all with regards to getting some type of consistency with the commercial trash pickup as well, and with DPW, because it's just the alley is clean 1 week by DPW, and then you'll come back in a couple of days and it's back in a deplorable situation. And so I wanted to see if we can work on that. And then also I definitely understand what Commissioner Rose is saying, because as I stated earlier on, we have so many projects here in our area, and these employees for these work sites, they are parking up 2 stop signs. They're parking in front of water hydrants. They're parking, taking all of the residents' parking. And so the residents are left with no parking. And then the construction site employees are not getting ticketed. And so I have watched parking enforcement ride through the neighborhood, and they're not even stopping to give tickets. I flagged one down and asked them to ticket a vehicle that was parked in front of a water hydrant. And, we shouldn't have to do enforcement when we have parking enforcement officers who are to be patrolling this area.
Yes, you're exactly right. Yeah, as far as that is concerned, if you see any commercial properties that they're not keeping up with the trash issues, they're supposed to be responsible for that, and they're supposed to keep it up. So if you could take a picture, or you could just send it over to me and let me know, we'll make sure that we have DOB go out there, do the inspection, and then through that period, if they see that there's a violation, hopefully we get it in time when they they just keep on keeping the trash out there, then they'll have to go through the abatement process and then get that fixed. So just make sure that you just loop me in on all those specific things.
I will do that. I thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Stout, we are past on time. If you could just drop your information in the Q&A so it can be properly displayed to the rest of the public, we would appreciate it. And thank you for joining tonight's meeting. Let's see. Miss Ingrid, are you ready for your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just a second.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, you're promoted to panelist. If you're sharing anything, you can go ahead and share that with the public. But thank you so much for joining us today. Miss Ingrid, I'm sorry, is it Buxell?
Yes.
Yes, is here on behalf of the Office of Unified Communications, and we'll be presenting some very helpful information tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. We like to work with the communities and make sure that we are doing our part to get you the information that you need, as well as take any information back that you may need from us. I would like to share my screen, a presentation that we created when we're doing virtual hearings. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And everyone can see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just a few slides to show everyone when to call 911 and to call 311. Calling 911 is for crimes in progress, medical emergencies, and fire, smoke, or the smell of gas. Non-emergency for 311 is city services requests, unoccupied vehicles, trying to move this, I'm sorry, and noise complaints and vandalism, destructions, and property. We have several ways that you can contact 311, and that's through Twitter, text to 311, as well as calling 311 and submitting them online. You can tweet us for different service requests. We have a social media team on the 311 side to take any service request that way. We have text to 911. If you cannot talk, if you're in a situation where your life is being threatened and you would like to text us instead of calling and giving details, you have that. We have that ability now. The text to 911 is received at the supervisor station. So there's someone monitoring that at all times to receive that information and give as much information as possible, location, what's going on, who do we need to look out for, whatever information you can give so that we can provide that for the responding units. And as I said, you call if you can, but text if you can't. And you have to have that in your cell phone, enabled in your cell phone. The location services must be turned on, and the text messages only, no photos or graphics. Text messages must be brief and easily understood. Use plain English, no abbreviations, shortcuts, or slang. And voice calls preferred, but text if you can. When initiating an emergency text, do not use dashes when entering 911 into the field. Be brief with your initial contact, help needed, those type of brief messages. Provide the location and nature of your emergency and wait to be prompted for further instructions. We also have Smart 911, and that is a feature, that is a feature that if you can plan ahead for emergencies or any information that the responders may need. So if you're live at home alone and we can't get in all the time, or you don't have quick access if there's an emergency, you can leave a key in a flower pot or something like that, and you put it in as you create your profile. And when you create it, you can put it in there so that the responders know to look for that key instead of breaking the door down. They will know to contact a family member to meet us there, to meet the first responders there, or any medical information that you may have in the event you're unconscious or something like that. If you have high blood pressure, diabetes, an animal there, or anything like that. So it's pretty much on the citizen to update this information. They will send you out once your profile is created. They will send you out a 6-month reminder that the information needs to be updated. Everything that's included is your home or work address, your mobile or land phone number, any pets, any vehicles, the vehicle description, emergency contact. All of that gives you the option to enter that right there. Then when you call 911, this is what pops up for the call taker. And when they select it, it also goes to the first responders, because everything that we type in the report, the first responders receive as well. Your call is never delayed in 911 for requesting information. So as they're questioning you and getting that information, it's simultaneously being entered in the system. The dispatcher sees it as well as the first responders. Then we're starting a junior academy for high school students that particularly start a career there. I wasn't in high school, but I've been there for 26 years. It's a wonderful place to work. We have our hiccups, but it is a wonderful job to have when you like to help people and work through different situations. So we've started that particular cohort. And these are other initiatives where we're starting the community walks as well. They will be going around taking service requests. At that time, as you all mentioned earlier, I heard you all say a few times about the trash and the abandoned vehicles. And I have that information that I'm going to take back to their chiefs to let them know that we need to do some evaluations about how that's being processed right now, because I heard that quite a few times tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And we also now have a feedback form on our website, and it's ouc.dc.gov page. I want to say it's the 8th tab over feedback, and then you can add any information that you need, that you would like for us to know: name, positive feedback, negative feedback, a general complaint, or anything specific. So we have that on site now. And that is the end of my presentation. Do you all have any questions for me?
Yes, ma'am. We have questions from the commission. If you want to raise your hand so I can call on you, and some questions in the Q&A from the public.
Okay.
Just a quick question on the texting services. How long has this texting option been available, and what issues have occurred that we should be aware about to kind of prevent?
It's been available over the last 3 years. We are because of the next gen 911, and the call takers are able to see certain information now. We're still processing how that's going to function, because once it is completely live, they will be able to see actual in progress crime. And we're working through the chain of custody for MPD versus OUC. So, but it's been pretty active. One thing we've been running into now are a few people, they're misusing text to 911 and they're playing on it, but they have minimized that to the phone numbers. And we had the police and the FBI involved in trying to track that, because we don't want them to tie up the system when we actually have a real emergency coming through. So they are working to work through that process.
Okay, and then one final question from me before we get to some juicy ones I'm sure commissioners have for you. Is there like a campaign to disperse literature on this? Like, is your office doing any of that kind of promotion, or is it all just social media, digital, coming to meetings?
We're coming to meetings, and then we do community walks, and we take that information. We have it on brochures and pamphlets and stuff, and we take that out. We put it on doors. We've put it in just different events that we've gone to, that we go out, and make sure they get that information.
Okay. Commissioner Rhodes, you had a question?
Yes, the academy that you showed on your presentation, how are the youth being able to access that information? And would you mind sending it to the commissioners so that we can pass it around to the youth in our communities?
Sure. We have a public relations team that has been working with the high schools, and they've gone out and presented this information. They presented 311 and 911 job duties. And we've actually, the first cohort starts next Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
At which high schools?
They went to several, Bell, Coolidge, Eastern. They went to several. I don't know the specific ones, but they have gone to several to try to bring them in and, just touch bases with them to see if they're interested.
How is that looking?
We have a class of 15.
Okay.
Yep. We have a class of 15. And like I said, I wasn't in high school, but I started 26 years ago. And I've been promoted through every position. I started out as a call taker when we had nowhere near the technology we have today. And it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed it.
Okay. So the only way they can get into the program is through the agency getting them from, literally going to the high school and getting them from there, or can we give this information to the high schoolers in our communities and they can join it?
Yes, you can give it to the high schools in your community and they can join.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, no other commissioners. Commissioner Henderson, you had a question?
Yes, just very briefly, Ms. Puck. So thank you for your presentation. Regarding 311, I've seen steady improvement, and I call 311 regularly regarding a number of issues throughout my single member district and 5D as a whole. And I'm pleased with the level of customer service that the majority of your members provide.
Thank you. I will make sure we take that back. We need that.
Yes, but all's not good yet, because we still have a lot of work to do on the 911 end.
Okay.
I'm glad that you were vetted properly, you enjoy the job, and you were able to work your way up. But a lot of your colleagues do not have the requisite customer service skills that we need. When every time that a member of the OUC interfaces with a member of the public for 911. It needs to be efficient and polite. We don't need combative call takers who may not understand. We just need everybody to be proactive and very responsive and very courteous. So I can't say that enough, but thank you so much for your presentation tonight.
Thank you. I'll make sure we take that back. We are we have it's a pilot program called the Emergency Communications Analyst, and they're senior call takers and dispatchers that are actually listening to live calls now to try and catch some of that, because we have received that a lot. We're trying to get them to understand, because like I said, when I came on, my job doesn't need me, I need my job. And being professional is key. People only have one time to call 911, and it's not a thank you, have a great day, but you can't take it personal. And you have to understand that we are trained to deal with their emergency. And we're trying to get that, because we've had a lot of change, we've had a lot of turnover, and we're revamping some other training things that we're going through. So we are aware of it, and I will definitely take that back, and we appreciate the feedback.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from other commissioners? Proceed with the public questions. Just a quick follow-up. Well, one question before I proceed with the public questions. Ms. Buxell, what's the proper protocol, or I guess what's the proper way to address when 911 calls are not answered? We've had a few of those situations, and that's been addressed to us, some of us as commissioners, that sometimes the calls don't get answered. God willing, and well, I hope to God it doesn't happen often, but I'm sure it does. What's the proper protocol to take to ensure that that's addressed properly?
So and I'm not making any excuses, but because 85 to 90% of our call volume is through cell phones, one incident can trigger 30 calls. And in that, we still have everything else going on in the city. And as you all know, we've been a little busier than normal because of the crime that's going on. But if you send in that concern, the time and the phone number that you call from, we do investigations and try to find out exactly what happened. If the call was on hold, we do ask that if you get there on hold, do not hang up and call back, because it just pushes your call back further. We ask you to stay on the line and just share whatever information that you need to share with us. But if you do send that, you could send it through the feedback form and let them know. But as long as you give us the date, time, and the phone number that you called from, we can definitely investigate that and find out what happened.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. Public questions. If a person does not speak English and texts 911, is there interpretation services?
Yes, we use the language line solutions that the district government provides for every district government agency. And what happens is, if they call and they cannot speak English, they tell the call taker whatever language they need. They then call the language line and they connect the interpreter, and they ask the interpreter questions. The interpreter then asks the citizen, and we document it, and that's how we process the call.
Perfect. Question here, or I guess comment. At 5D06, we have been contacting 301 a lot about rat issues, and we get the same response as discussed for trash issues. I don't know if Commissioner Henderson wants to address that. That's your commission.
Well, if the individual that is complaining about rats, if you can reach out to me and leave me, you can call me or email me tonight, and I'll follow up with you, because we want to make sure that we don't have that problem. But that's a 311 issue. I understand that the Department of Health, that is their responsibility. But after my conversation with Councilmember Nadeau, we're also going to engage the Department of Buildings in rat abatement as well. So certainly reach out to me. I'm always happy to know all of my constituents, and I want to be responsive to you. So please feel free to give me your contact information, 202-556-5823.
And
thank you for clearing that up, Commissioner Henderson. And I just want to say 311 is housed with 911, but they are the hub for the agencies that we take the service request from. So they don't actually do the work, but they do receive the information and send it to the respective agency for them to do it. Like you mentioned earlier, they'll send a response, DPW or Department of Health will send a response back, nothing found or something like that. That's not what we do. We just take the information and make sure that the respective agency gets that. So I just wanted to make sure everyone understands that, because a lot of times they'll say, well, you all didn't come out, and it's, you know, we wish we could, but we're not the ones that come out to take care of that request.
Thank you. The same resident had asked if we could get a copy of the presentation. I'm sure our Secretary Commissioner May will be reaching out to you, Ms. Buxell, for the presentation so we can share with the public.
Okay.
So whenever you have that available, you can email it to us.
Sure.
Another issue here from the public. One issue I found that is that the 311 app does not allow users to upload photos for incidents, example, permit violations. I know my app does, but you can comment on that if you like, just to clarify.
It does allow you to do it. I know sometimes we have to stop, restart our phones with different apps because we have so many running. But try it again if you run into that again, use the feedback form and send us that information. But I will take that back to them and ask them if they received any other concerns like that, and that we can always check into it.
And just so the public knows, if you do run into those small situations, a tweet also is very simple, just to attach a photo, and usually the folks at 311 have been very responsive to properly enter the service request for you. If you ever do run into a situation, this is from my experience, if you do run into a situation where you're using the app or don't know how to properly address a matter that you think is being handled by 311, just call. It's a quick phone call, just like Commissioner Henderson said. Those folks are very nice on that phone, at least the ones I've experienced with, have been very, very nice and kind, and they can clearly figure out how to properly enter a service request number for you. And the only thing your commissioner wants is that service request number. So please enter them and send them our way if you need to escalate them if they haven't been properly addressed. Commissioner Roblin, closing off for Ms. Buxell, you have a question?
Thank you, Ms. Buxwell. I have recently heard that there is a 211, but could you just discuss what 211 does? It was new news to me, but it seems like it's important.
So 211 is not housed with us. That's housed with the Department of Human Services. And what happens with that is they use that for family reunification.
And Ms. Buxell,
say that again, I'm sorry.
What do you mean by family reunification?
So when they have major incidents in the district, like a major fire, things like that, people are displaced, they put 211 under the Department of Health and Human Services, they provide that information as to where, if you're out of town and you're trying to reach a family member or you need a specific service or something like that, they provide that information.
And Ms. Buxell, I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
I had heard that it was a lot more than that, Ms. Buxell. That what I had read, I think I read it online, was that it's help for all kinds of us, more than just that, different kinds of social services or help for disabled, or because I was looking at it online. It said much more than that, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
So what we have, how we're connected with it is through that. If people need services for different things like that because of a fire or because of a displacement or something like that. And that's pretty much the same thing. If you need those service requests, then you need those specific services, then you can reach out to them through that.
Okay, so that's just your end, but they do much more than that on their own end. Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just a final question, I'm sorry, Ms. Buxell. Is the Office of Unified Communications, is that number or a different number being used or coming in the works with Department of Health? I think there was something in terms of mental health or something along that nature that was recently addressed at a public safety meeting with our council member. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, so mental health is the program that we have with Department of Behavioral Health. If you call 911 and someone is having the actual mental health crisis, we forward you to the Department of Behavioral Health so that we do not interact with the first responders, the police, and the firefighters until we actually need them. Sometimes, you know, if someone's having a mental health crisis, they don't need the aggravation of the police being there or firefighters. They need to be talked through whatever the situation is. And let me get that number for you 1 second.
Is there another number like 811 or something coming
No,
in?
it's
Okay.
988. It's the
There you
suicide
go.
and crisis hotline. Yes.
That's where I got that 8 from. Thank you.
Yep. 988. Yep.
Okay, and I think Commissioner May, a final question for the night from Ms. Buxell, I believe.
Sorry, I was trying to chime in with the 988, but you got it.
Thank you. Okay, Ms.
Teamwork
Buxell.
makes the dream work.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We appreciate you attending our meeting. Feel free to drop your information in the Q&A so it could be shared publicly with the rest of the public. And thank you again for coming out.
Sure. Thank you all. Feel free to give us any questions, and thank you for having us.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, moving forward with our presentation and meeting tonight, we have DC's Waters Lead-Free DC project. We have a few speakers here. I'm promoting you to panelists. If you're also speaking on this DC Water project, please raise your hand in the chat, in the attendees. And there you are, Mr. Moore. Okay, gentlemen, you should have the floor whenever you're ready.
Hold on just a moment.
Okay.
And I just want to share my screen.
Okay, you should have that option.
All right, perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Moore. I'm a communications and stakeholder manager over at DC Water, focusing on lead-free DC. And thank you for this opportunity to speak to you today about lead-free DC and give you an update on what we're doing over in ANC 5D. Sorry, I'm having a little, there we go.
Okay.
So lead-free DC is DC Water's plan to eliminate lead service lines by 2030. We have lots of resources, and you can reach out to lead@dcwater.com if you have questions, or you can call our lead hotline at 202-787-4044, or you can check if you have lead at dcwater.com/leadmap. There's also, we're currently working on a few blocks in ANC 5D to offer free lead service line replacements for homeowners. So the 2030 goal, DC Water is working to eliminate these service lines that are throughout the district. And every year, the district gives DC Water money to launch new capital projects on blocks across the city. We're replacing known lead service lines, and we're also verifying the material of service lines because, of course, our historic records aren't always correct. So who is the most vulnerable to exposure to lead, and why is it such a concern? So lead in drinking water can cause serious health effects in all age groups, especially in infants and children, where it can have decreases in IQ, attention span, lead to learning and other behavior problems. Children of women who are exposed to lead before or during pregnancy can have increased risk of adverse health effects. And for adults, it increases risks of heart disease, high blood pressure, kidney or nervous system disorders. So it's definitely, the health effects are, real. So what kind of pipes do we have here in DC? You can see over on the side, on your the left side of the screen, we have a few different types of pipes in DC. We're focusing on the lead and the galvanized pipes. And I will send out this presentation so that everyone can take a closer look. And like I said before, this information is available online. But the two pipes that we're most concerned about are the lead pipes, which are the dull silver gray pipes. And typically, they're not magnetic, but you'll see like a little bulb where it connects to the valve. And that's typical of a lead pipe. We're also looking at galvanized steel pipes, which are a dark silver gray, but they're magnetic. So a magnet will stick to that. And we're doing the lead and the galvanized steel pipes because with galvanized pipes over time, the pipe gets smaller and smaller as debris gets collected inside. And there's a potential, if there was lead anywhere in the service line, that it could get caught in that galvanized pipe and, theoretically, and potentially be released into the water supply. So we're focused on replacing lead as well as galvanized pipes. So Lead-Free DC is actually three programs. So we have our buy block program, which is part of our capital improvements and emergency repair program. We have our LPRAP program, which is the lead pipe replacement assistance program. And we have our voluntary or VFRP replacement program. So what's the difference between these projects? So CYPR is what the buy block project falls under. And CYPR, like I said, it's anything with capital improvements or emergency repairs. And with CYPR, we're able to do this buy block replacement because we have money from the district to do that. The LPRAP, it's for residents who have a lead service line, but only on the private side. There's funding available from the district to pay at minimum 50%, but up to, based on income and family size, can pay up to 100%. And then there's the voluntary replacement program for folks who have a full lead service line and they want to go ahead and replace it themselves. And so that's a voluntary program where the cost is borne by the homeowner. So the buy block projects that I'm talking about today are really, it's based on, we've chosen these blocks from across the city, and it's based on a prioritization model that really focuses on areas where you have vulnerable populations, children, daycare centers, schools, and and then you're looking at places that have a need. So they call it the area deprivation index, but basically you're looking at two sides. You're looking at the need base and you're looking at the density of children. So anything, again, that you want to know about Lead-Free DC, you can find on our dcwater.com/lead website. We have a construction dashboard, we have fact sheets, information on health effects, as well as the lead map, which I spoke about earlier, so you can check your service line material. So just a quick primer here on what the service line is. So the homeowner owns the service line, and the service line is the pipe that runs from the public water main into the homeowner's house. That's what we call the point of entry, where that pipe goes into the house. Now, DC Water is responsible for maintaining the portion of the pipe that's in the public space, but the homeowner is responsible for maintaining the pipe that's on private property. And in order for DC Water to replace that, the homeowner has to give consent and funding for that private side replacement. But with the BioBlock project, we are able to, on those selected blocks, do that work for free. This slide really just gives you an overview of some of the activities that go into a service line replacement. You have a test pit. If you see the photo with the orange vest, that's one way that we look, dig and determine what type of service line material is there and actually understand if it's copper or if it's lead or whatever it is. And we go through the whole process. But one of the key things, just to make sure everyone understands, is we do a test pit first. If there is no lead, then that's it. If we do a test pit and we find lead, then we will go forward with the replacement. So a couple of things. If you do qualify for a replacement and you have lead pipes, that's something where the homeowner will have to be home. So we'll work with you to schedule that replacement. And if your home is on a block that we're currently working on, you should have received an agreement and some other information in the mail to tell you about the program. I will say that we have our canvassers out, or if they're not out right now, they will be out in blocks in 5D talking about lead service line replacements. I know we have, we're working on the 1300 block and 1400 block of Trinidad, as well as a couple of blocks on West Virginia Avenue. So this gives you a snapshot of how things are looking in Ward 5. The key here, focusing on Ward on ANC 5D, we have 74 premises in the program this year. Right now we have 18 signed agreements, so we're at about 24%. So we have a long way to go. The minimum that we expect before we even start construction on the block is at least 30%. Overall in ANC 5, we're at about 41%. So we're past that 30%, but we're looking to definitely really focus and improve where we are in Ward 5, in ANC 5D, with our percent of agreement signed. So I'm here mainly because we want people to get these lead service lines replaced. The key to that happening for people who are in the program this year is they have to sign that agreement and return it to us. We ask that you be on the lookout. Like I said, our outreach team will be out doing door-to-door canvassing to talk about lead-free DC. And just around it, this is not just a Ward 5 issue, it's a citywide issue. And we've selected blocks across the city this year for this lead service line replacement, just like we did in 2022, where we selected blocks across the city. So we're working across the city to address this issue with lead pipes. Again, the resources available, you can find the plan on DC Water's website. You can also reach out to our email, lead@DCWater, or call our lead line at 202-787-4044. And that's all I have for you today, and definitely am open to questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moore. I'll allow the public to drop any questions in the Q&A function in regards to this specific presentation, as well as commissioners to raise their hands to be called on to ask questions on this project. A quick question, Mr. Moore. Here in South Ward 5, a lot of us that live here are actually tenants, so not a lot of us are homeowners. How does the tenant get involved in this? How does someone that just happens to rent get involved in these projects?
So when we have tenants, one of the things that we like to do is we give the tenant a copy of the agreement with the hopes that they will forward that on to the landlord or the homeowner. We also send the agreement to the homeowner. If it's not an owner-occupied dwelling, we will send it to them at whatever address we have on file at DC Water. But we're definitely looking to the renters or whoever the tenant is to help us by providing contact information for the homeowner so that they can, get this lead service line replaced.
Perfect. Okay, Commissioners 5D03, you have a question, Commissioner Roblin?
Yeah, two quick ones. Thank you. Do most apartment buildings, large apartment buildings that are on the old side have these kind of pipes? And my second question is all this presentation information on the website you can find out when you just do a search for DC lead free?
Okay, so as far as the older apartment buildings, I don't want to speak, say that because I'm not sure of that information. So I don't want to tell you something that's not true. So that's something we can look at and get back to you with additional information on that. As far as the presentation, I will email this presentation to the ANC folks, but the majority of this information is available on dcwater.com/lead.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Henderson, you have a question?
Yes. Well, just very quickly, thank you for your presentation. The program is exceptional. It's one of the few, well, I should say one of the few, but it's a program that really works. And I certainly encourage you to make it as widely known as possible. And I would also suggest that you reach out to the Department of Buildings, formerly DCRA, to get the contact information for all owners. Expecting, a tenant in a single family home or even an apartment building to provide information is not the best use of your resources, but you can get all the contact. DOB has contact information for every property owner, and just send it to them and encourage them to participate. And certainly at no cost, that's an incentive for owners to take advantage of this much needed service. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Henderson.
Okay, Commissioner May.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moore, for excuse me, for joining us tonight. I just wanted to share that my family and I did a free water test with DC Water recently because it was a little unclear what type of service pipe we might have, and so I just wanted to share with members of the community that it was a relatively easy process. Some instructions to read through, but DC Water made it easy for us to conduct that water test to make sure that our pipes were indeed not lead service pipes. And so definitely encourage community members to take advantage of the resources DC Water provides here. There's a great resource online where you can check to see if your property is known to have a lead service pipe, and then if it's unclear, you can work with DC Water to get that checked.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you. Just a quick question from the public. If one's building has been built in the past 2 years, would that mean its lines have been replaced?
If a building was built in the past 2 years, it would not have lead pipes. We stopped using lead pipes. Well, not we, but pretty much across the country, lead pipes were not used after 1984 at the latest.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Any other questions from the commissioners? I don't see any additional questions from the public on this presentation. Okay, Mr. Moore, well, we appreciate your time and the great presentation. Our Secretary, Commissioner May, will be following up to get a copy so we can ensure that that's included in our minutes. Perfect. And if you could just drop, again, your contact information in our Q&A feature, just so that's widely available to the public, we would really appreciate it.
I will. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, everyone. Moving to our final, one of our final portions of the night, which is voting action items. We have some BZA matters to address. Is Kona available to discuss BZA case 20766? Let's see. Does anyone see Kona in the... Commissioner Cobb, do you see them in there?
I don't, and we have had a lot of trouble getting in touch with them. Our zoning commission has. But just up front, I wanted to say, as I do with every meeting. Due to my federal job, I am ethically conflicted out from considering BZA matters, so I will turn off my mic and camera. Doesn't mean I'm ignoring anything, it just means I have to stay out of it.
Thank you. Okay, just a second.
Oh, sorry, one more thing. If you promote Kevin Horgan to a panelist, he can provide some information about 1313 West Virginia.
Okay.
And for those who don't know, Kevin Horgan is the chair of our Zoning and Development Committee.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm trying to do a couple things at once. Okay. Okay, Kevin, you've been promoted. You should be able to quickly speak on this project. I know we've been having, the commission has been having issues getting a hold of these folks to give us some more insight on the project, but we would love your what you've determined from the zoning committee in terms of this, how it affects ANC 5D.
Sure thing. They did actually just get back to me today. I will say this project, their original hearing date, I think, was back in May of last year. And each time as the hearing date approached, we asked them, hey, do you want to come before the zoning committee or the ANC to present to the community? And each time they were like, oh, we're still not sure of it. They kind of deferred. They have postponed their hearing, I think, twice now. They had one in, I think, July or August and one in December. And we reached out to them last week, again, inviting them to come. So they replied, and if I can find the exact email, I think they are deciding to, hello, Mr. Horgan, thanks for reaching out. The owner's taken on, actually, that's an email from, sorry, an email from last year. The latest email they sent me was, where did they send it?
What is the date on that,
Mr.
Kevin?
Duce, say again?
The date?
Oh, this latest email was just yesterday.
Perfect.
So they responded.
3/12.
Yes, 3/12. Mr. Duce has decided to suspend the application until further notice. We'll keep you informed as we move forward. So I will say I did check just minutes ago, I checked the BZA case record and they have not yet formally withdrawn.
Okay.
So I think it would be best for you guys to just vote on the project. I did walk by there yesterday and they were also 14 days prior to any BZA case, you have to affix signage notices, these large orange signs in front of your property, and those weren't posted either. So putting aside the merits of a particular application, they don't meet any public notice requirements. So I would recommend the ANC vote on this project, but we'll keep an eye on the case record. If they formally withdraw, you don't even have to worry about submitting an ANC report before their hearing, which is coming up. And but if they don't formally withdraw, I would recommend you do submit an ANC report. That way there's something in the case record. I should also note that Office of Planning submitted a report not recommending, I forget how they worded it, this particular project.
Okay, I'm displaying the project, screen sharing it here for those to see. In the application of Kona Dush, and the case summary says to construct an accessory garage with roof deck to an existing semi-detached 2-story cellar principal dwelling unit in RF1 zone. And this is again on 1313 West Virginia Avenue Northeast. The ANC here says 5D06, but I don't know if that's an outdated reference from when originally the application was submitted. Yeah.
It's outdated. It's mine. Well,
Gotcha.
3.
So 5D03. So this is Commissioner Roblin's single member district. Okay. Well, being that being that the applicant has failed to cooperate and properly be in touch with the commission, I'll open the floor to discuss this project before we move forward and have a vote. I see Commissioner Henderson has her hand up.
Yes, my question is for Mr. Horgan. It is my understanding, and I just need some clarification from you, that you were paid by ANC 5D for your services in reference to zoning matters. Would you briefly discuss that?
Commissioner Henderson, is this
I-
anything to do with this specific BZA case?
No,
This
I
specific
but
case and all of the cases before the commission.
I don't mind
Wait
answering
a
the
minute,
question.
Mr.
I've actually never been paid. No, this is everything I've ever done. The one thing I ever did before I received money for the ANC was a grant proposal for materials to use 3D printers to fabricate face shields at the start of the pandemic for about 3 months.
Mhm.
And that was through the grants committee, and that was but I've never accepted a dime. All the software I've always used to support and volunteer for the ANC is always on my own dime. So no, I am not paid in any way, shape, or form by the ANC.
No, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Horgan, for
you.
clarifying. I'll clarify. Are there any questions specific to this BZA case from the commissioners? Commissioner Roblin?
I just would like to know what you recommend, Mr. Horgan, and what any commissioner that has knowledge of these kinds of issues recommends, because it's my commission, I have not caught up yet on my learning as far as all the zoning issues, and I don't want to do the wrong thing. Thank you.
I prefer to not make recommendations on the cases because we try to stay a little bit kind of like nonpartisan.
Neutral.
I would just
Neutral.
say our job on the committee is basically we try to hold meetings so that like developers can have like half an hour to give detailed presentations, which we then send you links to. You can watch afterwards. And we do have architects in the committee. We kind of dig into them, try to understand more what they're doing. But I mean, I will say I agree with the Office of Planning. That's fair with their recommendation.
Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines.
Commissioner McCollum, you had a question?
Yes, sir. Very briefly. Thank you, Mr. Horgan, for being here tonight. I appreciate your service. Can you just explain? Either I'm not getting something, I'm just not understanding. So are they trying to build a second level on top of this garage? And is this going to be a dwelling to live in? Or what exactly is this going to, or the attempt for this to be?
So currently there's not a garage there. There's just a very, very tall wall that surrounds the backyard. And they were requesting permission to build a garage, basically use those cinder block walls as the initial perimeter walls of the garage. And then they also wanted zoning relief to build a a rooftop patio on top of the garage. Now, DC, that garage then would have been considered like an accessory dwelling or an accessory building. And you can't, as a matter of right, just put like a rooftop patio on top of an accessory building in the city. So they're asking for a few zoning reliefs. They were also asking because they were far, far exceeding the 60% lot occupancy. So they were asking for a lot of zoning relief. I mean, they were basically populating most. They were also going to have a rear deck that comes off the back of the house, and then a short length of stairs before it meets up with the garage. I mean, I forget off the top of my head what the percentage lot occupancy was, but it's far in excess of what is ever approved for an R1 zone lot. I mean, you often, sometimes we'll see developers ask for 65%, 70% lot occupancy beyond the 60% matter of right. This was something that was just, most of the lot was just going to be occupied by building, which is fine for a residential apartment zoned, mixed use zones, higher density. That's not the intent of residential flat housing, which is what most of Trinidad is.
Okay, in the main building on this property, is it gonna remain single family, or is this a multi-unit main building?
Believe, I don't know off the top of my head, I believe it's currently single family owned. And I should clarify, these aren't developers, these are just neighbors who were just trying to do something more with their back, with the back of their house, but to add some more living space to it. It's just, they were just at, if this was approved here, you would see that type of density approved anywhere. And there are zoning regulations for a reason. The BZA is authorized to provide zoning relief. But in this case, even Office of Planning, who are generally pretty supportive of when people try to get a little bit more than matter of right on a house, they even OP felt it was asking too much.
Yeah, for me, it just seems like it's another way to kind of go with putting. I mean, I know that it's worded as being a garage, but I just easily see this as becoming like a 1-bedroom unit or something that's back there. You know, once you get the garage, and then after that's there, then you easily, go in and start without permits doing stuff to that garage that make it livable space, and then the top part, just I don't think it's a good precedent to even start going down that route.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Thank you.
so thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Mr. Horgan, for all the due diligence that you volunteer to the commission. We appreciate your work and your service, and it's been very helpful and insightful, and we continue to look forward to working with you. Okay, moving forward, I make a motion that we do not support this project, BZA case. Let me get the number. I move that we do not support BZA case 20766. Can I get a second on this motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner May. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay or opposed.
Opposed.
Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. The motion passes. ANC 5D will not support this BZA project.
And
Sorry,
Mr. Chairman, for clarity, can we have who opposed?
That was Commissioner Henderson.
Okay.
And moving forward, we have one additional BZA case on the agenda. I'm sorry, I'm losing my agenda. Where did I put it? BZA case 20853. Is John Oliver here to present on 1212 Oat Street Northeast? Just a friendly reminder, we have our interpreters for a few more minutes, so just want to ensure that, one, we respect their time, because we appreciate you all doing the service that you're doing for our community, and the commissioners and the presenters to be brief and thorough with their questions and presentation.
For the next presentation, we will follow with our time rule.
Okay, Mr. Oliver, I believe you promoted.
Yes, I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we all see me just fine? Let me share my screen. All right, let me full screen the PowerPoint presentation and then confirm that we can see the PowerPoint presentation. All right, can we all see the PowerPoint that's pulled up? Okay.
Yes.
I am seeing some nods. Thank you. So again, my name is John Oliver, here with the law firm of Holland and Knight on behalf of the applicant 1212 Oates Street LLC. Here talking about BZA case number 20853. As we've heard, it is late in the evening. It's 9:24. I know that we only have the interpreters till 9:30, so we'll keep the presentation brief. What I do have an 18-slide PowerPoint, which first will show us where the property is located. Then we'll give a brief overview of the special exception that's being requested. And then I will talk through how we meet the standard of review. So on the next slide, we can see the property. Again, the property address is 1212 Oates Street Southeast. Property is located east of the northeast corner of Montello Avenue and Oates Street Northeast. Properties located, of course, ANC 5D. The SMD is 5D04. So here's what we're seeking, what we're asking for. This is the reason we're here. So the request is a special exception relief from the rooftop architectural element construction constraints of E206.1, which would in effect approve an as-built porch roof located at 1212 Oates Street Northeast. Again, the BZA public meeting is scheduled for March 29th, later this month. So as I walk us through the zoning ordinance, there's just some text I want to bring to our attention. So E206.1 states that rooftop architectural elements original to a principal building, such as porch roofs, cannot be removed, altered, and can't shift its location, change its shape, increase its height, elevation, or size. E206.4 then states relief from that constraint of 206.1 can be granted by the Board of Zoning Adjustment as a special exception pursuant to X 901.2 and then subject to the conditions of E5207.1. So now I'll walk us through 5207.1 and then 901.2. So the first element of 5207.1 states that the proposed construction shall not have any substantial adverse effect on the use or enjoyment of any abutting or adjacent dwelling or property. And then it walks you through 3 sub-factors to consider. That first sub-factor is that the light in the air.
Mr. Oliver, are you using the presentation for the subject matter you're speaking of? Because nothing's changing and you haven't started it.
Nothing is changing and I haven't started it.
Yes, sir.
Well, then let me jump off. Can we see?
Okay, I see you're moving it now.
Well, then I'll just stay on this zoomed out version. Let's just do that. So again, 5207.1A, here's the text I just read. Proposed construction will not have an adverse impact on property that's next to you. First, the light and air available to neighboring properties will not be unduly affected. Again, as I mentioned, here we're talking about an as-built porch roof. The as-built porch roof was constructed 18 inches higher than the original porch roof. So we advance that an 18-inch increase in height is not capable of having an adverse impact to the light and air available to a neighboring property. If we jump to the second sub-factor to consider, it contemplates the privacy of the use and enjoyment of neighboring properties will not be unduly compromised. Again, for the same reason that we advanced on the past slide, an 18-inch increase is not capable of compromising the privacy of the use or the enjoyment of any neighboring property. And then finally, your final sub-factor to consider is that the proposed construction as viewed from the street will not visually intrude upon the character, scale, and pattern of houses along the street or alley. Again, as we've talked about, the proposed construction here, which is germane and only pertains to the porch roof height increase, does not visually intrude upon the character and scale and pattern of the houses on Oak Street. And we do have drawings and photographs to share that show that. And then if you jump back out to 5207.1 subsection B, it asks that you show drawings or photographs that ensure compliance with subsection A. So now on this slide, we'll show you the first drawing that is in the case record. Again, what this is showing you and what matters for the purpose of the special exception is to highlight on the 18-inch increase in porch roof height, which you can see right where my cursor is. I'm happy to zoom in if there's questions from the commission later on. Now, the third sub-factor that we talked about is that the porch roof height does not have a substantial impact on the scale, the pattern of houses that are located in the neighborhood. The following photos, there's a few things I want to highlight. All of these photos are taken from the 1200 block of Oak Street. Here, you'll see varying porch roof heights along Oak Street. You'll see varying building heights. You'll also see different porch roof awnings and different elements to each house. So again, here, just want to show us that there is a different porch roof height along Oak Street. Again, highlight the different porch roof awnings, also different building height elements that we see here as well. Again, here, just want to highlight, the difference in porch height, and also want to highlight the difference in building height that you see along Oak Street. And then here on this slide, just want to highlight the different building setbacks that we see right here. And then on this slide again, just want to highlight the different building heights that we see along the 1200 block of Oak Street Northeast. And finally, we can conclude with a slide that shows the subject property, which is the gray building. Again, you can see the houses that are next to it vary in porch roof height as well. Finally, now we jump to the special exception criteria of X 901.2. The first requirement is that the board can grant a special exception if it finds three conditions exist. The first one is that the request is in harmony with the general purpose and the intent of the zoning ordinance. Again, here what we have on the screen is the intention of the RF1 zone, which is what this property is zoned. The intention of the zone is to provide for areas that have row houses on small lots with which no more than two dwelling units are permitted. This newly constructed building only has 2 dwelling units, so it is in compliance with the intent of the RF1 zone. Again, the second factor of X 901.2 is that it will not tend to adversely affect the neighboring properties in accordance with the zoning regs and maps. Again, as we just talked about, the 18-inch increase in height of the porch roof will not have an adverse effect on the use of neighboring properties. And then finally, the third requirement of X 901.2 is that you have to meet any special conditions that are outlined. That's exactly what we talked about previously in 5207.1. So just to conclude, just to bring us back to what our ask is of the ANC, we're seeking support for BZA case number 20853, which is a request for special exception relief from the rooftop architectural element construction constraints of E206.1 to approve an as-built porch roof at 1212 Oak Street Northeast, because an 18-inch increase will not unduly affect neighboring properties. The proposed construction is substantially similar to other porch roofs in the area, and the proposed development is consistent with the general purpose and intent of the zoning regulations and maps. That concludes our presentation. I'm happy to address any questions this ANC might have.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Is it possible to pull up a photo of the property from the front, please? And
Yes,
if you could just hit the full screen option, I would, or you could just click the presenter option right there. Mm-hmm.
Can we see this?
I guess you have another feature on your computer.
Yeah, this is what I pressed last time. It never changed.
Got it.
Let me jump out of here.
Okay.
Is this even enough for us all? I'm happy to zoom in more.
You can zoom in more if possible. Okay. So I'm going to allow commissioners to speak as well as our zoning co-chair for 5D, and then questions from the public. My question is just to clarify, you're asking for relief due to a project that was already built, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Is there a reason, just to clarify, is there a reason why this was not properly done prior?
Yeah. So again, that's the question that everyone wants to hear. Just so we're clear, we're talking about this 18-inch increase in porch roof height. Just the background to it, the quick, fast facts are that when the building was reconstructed pursuant to plans that were approved back in 2020, it was apparent that natural light to this first floor was cut off by where the past porch roof height was. So the porch roof was increased. Now, happy to walk us through how we got there. I think that's important. When DOB issued permits to convert the building, again, this was back in 2020, the applicant hired a geotechnical expert to conduct, just a report of the slabs and the footings. That report showed that the footing was below the current slab, so therefore the new footing, new slabs had to be laid to make that even. When the construction started, the applicant found out that the footing was not even, so the applicant then poured new slabs to level that foundation. Again, as the building was reframed, that is when we found out that natural light to the first floor was blocked by where the porch roof was, so the height was increased. The applicant was not aware that the zoning ordinance required relief or approval to increase your porch roof height, so that is why we're here now.
Got it. So the layman's terms is your applicant did not know that that wasn't allowed.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
That's pretty short of it. Okay, I'm gonna allow the commissioners to ask questions as well as our zoning chair. I believe the first one up on roll is Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, looking at this project, I mean, it's a pop-up, and now I'm hearing that the applicants didn't know, which I find to be disingenuous, because the Department of Buildings, even when it was DCRA back in 2020, is very stringent regarding these issues. So it seems to me that a plan was submitted and then something else was done, was executed, which contravened that initial plan. So now you're coming back and asking for relief. I think that's inappropriate. It's unacceptable, and it's emblematic of the unpermitted and road work that is going on and continues to go on throughout ANC 5D. And I'd like a copy of this plan because I'm really concerned that you're putting something on the agenda at the last minute, asking for a vote from the ANC, and there was no outreach to the commission to provide us with a plan. And you expect us to just go through your quick presentation that doesn't even address all of the issues. But the project is unattractive. So I will be asking the BZA not to give you any requested relief. And I want to go on the record, and I urge the commission to go on record opposing this. I mean, this is not how the commission is supposed to do business. You're not supposed to come back after you violated the law or violated the spirit and intent of your original building permits, and then ask the ANC, to rubber stamp and give you some type of approvals. That's just so inappropriate on so many levels.
Just to clarify, Mr. Oliver, is this the first time you're presenting to 5D?
Yes, this is the first time giving a presentation to the entire ANC. We were in front of the zoning committee last month.
So you've done outreach with 5D prior to tonight's meeting, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Commissioner McCollum, you had a question?
What's going on? Somebody is breaking up.
I don't know what happened.
I think that may have been Commissioner Henderson, maybe some issue on her end.
I think did she just drop? I know she was on the bus, what it looked like. Okay, well, Commissioner McCollum, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So thank you for coming tonight for this presentation. This is going to definitely be a no for me for a lot of reasons, but just to be brief, we're getting late in the evening. I would like to see the plans in order to get my support. But just looking at this, I want to note that you're saying that this is a slight raise in the roof of the porch. But when I even look at the front and I look at the floor of the porch, it's raised so much higher than the houses adjacent. And so I'm assuming that this was so that you could build, or that the construction for the entryway to the basement could take place without, bumping your head going down. But I cannot imagine that this floor is raised so high, and what type of obstruction that possibly poses for the neighbors. So can you speak to very, very briefly to a moment of why the porch is so much higher than those houses attached?
Yes, happy to do so. I don't mean to punt the question, but again, the relief pertains to the porch roof height. So talking about the porch roof is a little outside the scope of what the Board of Zoning Adjustment will consider. But as the porch roof height is increased, of course, the porch roof floor is also increased. Again, as you mentioned, increased to allow a pathway down to that dwelling unit that is in the basement floor. But I would urge us to stay focused on what the ask is, which is
no, I don't. Okay, so it's not so I'm focused on the on the entirety of this. So I don't need you to try to send me around and say stay focused. I'm focused on this project, and I think that you would want me to be focused on it all so that you can gain my support. I'm not pleased with obstruction to anyone's view, whether it's because of a porch or if it's because of a roof. And what I can clearly see when I look at this is that if you're sitting on the porches adjacent, it is very, very hard for you to see down the road. And so I don't appreciate you, respectfully saying that we need to stay focused. I'm very focused on the project as a whole. And so as of right now, you will not get my support. I still would like to have a copy of this in my email if you don't mind. I will yield the rest of my questions for the night due to the time.
Commissioner May, before we go on to Mr. Horgan, you had a question?
I do. So actually, I'd like to follow up on Commissioner McCollum's question. So are you saying, Mr. Oliver, are you saying that the porch roof and the porch floor, that those don't have any correlation to each other?
Commissioner May, no, sorry, I am not saying that there's no correlation between the porch roof and the porch roof height. And I do want to jump back. I do apologize for the phrasing of that previous response. I'm not saying there's no correlation. Of course, if the porch roof height is increased, the porch floor will also be increased. So no to that question.
Okay. So it seems to me, I was going to ask a similar question, Mr. McCollum. It seems to me that the two go together. So I think for us, I suppose if the porch floor were the same level as the neighboring homes, then we could just talk about the roof. But and it seems to me to an average viewer of the construction, it looks like the entire porch was raised up. And I think Commissioner McCollum, I agree with his perspective that it seems like that was done intentionally to accommodate a dwelling unit in the basement. So it's a little hard to see that as detached. Though I understand we're talking about the roof from a regulatory perspective, I think it's hard for us not to see them as one combined element. The other question I was going to ask is whether you have stated ideally written support from the neighboring residents or the neighboring homeowners here. I notice, as Mr. McCollum again said, there's a pretty big difference in the porch height. I also noticed that the home to the left has solar panels on the roof. Those might be obstructed by the project. So.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. And then Kevin Horgan, if you want to add some of the information that you've found out in terms of this project.
Oh, sorry. I was just could I get an answer on whether there is support from the homeowners adjacent to the property? Sorry.
I know we have some of them actually going to speak. So.
Oh, all right, that's fine.
Kevin, if you want to chime in.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
I did want to actually share PDF I took. These are just pictures from this past weekend. You see these photographs?
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just trying to. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, got it. So I just want to provide some context. This is how the property appeared before the construction. You can just see the porch level is all on here, the roof level, and this is how the property appears now, as Mr. Oliver showed. And from speaking with the homeowner, something happened during the construction where rather than underpinning the foundation, which is very typical for a lot of these type of units where they make a multifamily, they didn't do that. And so then they were faced with a basement that needed additional ceiling height. So unlike most of the multifamily conversions we see in Trinidad, they actually changed the location of the floor joists. So keep in mind where the porch floor is. It's here. All of the windows, you can see the brick level. The entire building basically got shifted up. So that's why they created themselves. If they had left the porch at the original height, that's why it would have been light would have been challenging. And just for some context, Mr. Oliver said all the porches have varying, there's some variation. There is some variation, but maybe by maybe no more than 1 or 2 inches. This is a photograph looking down the whole block, looking towards the west. The actual subject property is down here. You can basically see all the porches are, there is a bit of a slope on to the block, but it's mostly in line here. Now, we had failed to notify the homeowner. I believe his architect has joined, but we didn't give the homeowner much notice of this change in the ANC meeting agenda. So he's not here tonight. But I did meet him up a few weeks back, and one thing he expressed to me is that, he is like friends with the people who live in this building here, and he would have a conversation. But now, part of the reason he bought in Trinidad was to have that kind of like row house community feeling. Now his future neighbors in 1212 are just always going to look down on him. This is a substantial, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps difference. If he sat in his porch here, he doesn't get to look over and have a conversation with, he doesn't have that, I know he's concerned about his house now being devalued because he's kind of been isolated from the rest of the block. So, and I'm just repeating now exactly what he said to me. Those are some of his concerns. I personally don't think, I wouldn't want to see this. We haven't seen this before, this approach. And I think there are some questions about, is this, Mr. Oliver, is this building, is it 35 feet tall? Because normally I've never seen a developer do this, and they typically underpin because and when they add this final story here, they do it because it's just below the 35-foot level. Like, are they sure this is not above 35 feet, that this does not require variance instead of a special exception?
Yes, Kevin, thanks for that question. We are sure that we do not exceed 35 feet in height.
Okay. And I think someone asked this question. Someone asked about the solar panels. I did ask him about this as well, and he applied for these permits after he wasn't aware this was about to be built. So unfortunately, it's just, they look at these permits had already been applied for when the homeowner here had done this. So I think, I just want to provide these pictures here just to give some more context to the block. I will say a comment we'd asked them in the zoning committee meeting was, I understand why they did what they did. We did ask them if they could, what would it take to drop this, to actually make it lower. I know there are some homes on Holbrook Street where, right now you can see this porch roof, is one course of bricks, soldier standing up here above the window. But I know on Holbrook Street, a lot of the houses, the trim work is right at the top of the lintel. There is a lot of height here. I think the applicant could have actually done some tricks to lower this. So this wasn't, I understand why they did with this to get more ceiling height in the first floor. But when I just took pictures yesterday, this is an image when you're looking at the basement door, there's a lot of height here. Of course they needed to increase the porch floor because they increased the floor joists inside the house. Everything stemmed from that decision to not underpin. Yes. And I'm not going to get into that. It's a building code issue, and it's not related to zoning. But I wish they had kept the original porch and just added maybe some steps on the porch to get up to the new. It may have looked silly, but it wouldn't have violated the zoning regulations. And something we haven't mentioned is another. It's shown here. It's been removed. There was a rooftop element here, but in the zoning committee meeting, the owner did commit that would be restored. But they can't do any work on site till the stop work is lifted. There's currently a stop work in this property, and that will be lifted at the conclusion of the BZA case. So this architectural rooftop element will be restored eventually. It'll look just like it did before. Everything we're talking about really is just this porch roof. And anyway, that's the background I wanted to give. I can stop sharing, or I can leave this up on the screen, but I will.
Kevin, can I ask you one question?
Sure thing.
So all the other, I know, we're talking specifically about the porch roof, but some of the other changes you talked about, that like the decision to raise the floor joists and sort of raise the architectural profile of some of the different elements, the doors, the windows, and whatnot. Does any of that require special relief to zoning, or is that all by right and permissible?
I would say it wasn't. So there's zoning regulations and there's building code. I believe the stop, when it comes to zoning regulations, changing the elevation of the windows didn't change it. If they had not changed the roof, the porch roof height, and if they had not removed this architectural roof here, that they would not have had any issues. And you will find, you walk through Trinidad, you will find examples of homes that don't have any of this, but those were built before the regulations were tightened up. There was a lot of houses pre-2016 where they just demoed houses, and and a lot of these have to do with existing things. If there's a zoning case, we'll often just, sometimes they'll demo a house and they'll have gotten relief. In this instance, they didn't have zoning relief for this. And now they're trying to get it after the fact.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that information, those questions. We are pressed on time, so I think we've addressed everything that the public has been questioning in terms of this this particular case. I do move. I was trying to get Commissioner Henderson back on the Zoom. I know her. She lost signal, or I don't know what happened with her Zoom, but I've resent her an email and texted the login information directly. She's saying she's having issues. We'll proceed with just making a motion on this. I do, just one second. I do make a motion that we do not support BZA case 20853. Can I get a second in this motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner McCollum. All in favor of not supporting BZA case 20853, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? I believe, is Commissioner Cobb still on here?
Yep, I'm here. Abstain.
Abstained by Commissioner Cobb. Okay, the motion carries. We will not be supporting this BZA case. Mr. Oliver, thank you for your time and for your presentation and enduring our questions.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you. And I was trying to get Commissioner does anyone see Commissioner Henderson in the attendees?
I looked to see if I could see her there. I don't see her there. And also just for a matter of transparency, I mean, I know we are aware, but so that the attendees will know that we are still in compliance with quorum, although we lost Commissioner Henderson.
I know she was taking public transportation, and I don't know if that had anything to do why her signal was acting the way it did. I'm doing my due diligence to get her back on because she was the only one that had an sincere opposition towards this next voting action item. So
there is a hand raised as well.
I think that's Kevin, you still have your hand raised? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I wish Commissioner Henderson could join us. She's already saying some things about me through text, so I don't know. Does anyone have access to communicate with Commissioner Henderson so we can close on our final voting action item? Take that as a no. Are you messaging her, Commissioner McCollum, or?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can figure out where she is.
It looked like she'd gotten off the bus, but I'm not sure where she was.
I mean, unfortunately, in the interest of time, we're going to have to move forward.
Okay, and just to clarify, one of the questions from the public that doesn't specify on the BZA case, but just in general, Andrew Grimberg, is there any way for the community to weigh in these voting matters with the chat off and no open forum? It feels like there's no input happening from non-commissioners. Sir, we have zoning meetings once a month. You are welcome to join them and welcome to say anything you feel that is necessary at these matters. So any BZA case goes through our zoning committee. Kevin Horgan is highly due diligent to ensure that we get the proper information. He does the footwork a lot. He's on the ground looking at these properties, looking at these spaces. So he's a phenomenal person that moderates these meetings. So if you're ever interested, including the rest of the public, please join them. as well as many other meetings that are available in South Ward 5 that affect us directly. So you can find that meeting information directly on our ANC website, which happens to be the most informed committee in terms of information available on it at this time. Okay, I really wanted Commissioner Henderson to be on here to speak on this. She's not responding to my messages
I'm going to try to
anymore.
call her. I'm going to try to call her as well.
Mhm.
And then that's going to be it.
While we use our time wisely, I'll just go back into the questions from the public before we close the night. There was one.
I'm here. Did you see the text I just sent you?
Oh no, hold on one second. I just
Let her know
okay.
she's on speaker.
Would you want? I was going to put you on speaker, and then you can just. I mean, we'll talk through whatever we're doing if that works for you.
Yeah, I'm going to report to the chairman. His actions are reprehensible. You can clearly see from the message that you removed me from the meeting. Thank you for that inappropriate, illegal action, which will be addressed.
Okay. Well, okay. So Commissioner Henderson has made her statement. She's here. I have her on the line. So she has agreed we can move forward with her. She cannot, just for the record, she cannot see what's going on, but I do have her on speaker so that she can hear. And can everyone hear her?
We can hear her clearly.
Okay, so then let's move forward and let's go through with the last agenda item for the evening.
Okay, Commissioner May, can you share the letter that was properly noticed to the public 7 days advance of tonight's meeting?
Well, Commissioner, it seems like she dropped off.
Now she's gonna say you hung up on her. Okay, well, we did our due diligence and we'll proceed with the meeting. We have quorum, we'll proceed. Commissioner May, can you please share the letter? And can you please clarify how this letter was properly dispersed to the public for access?
Sure. Yeah, happy to. You want me to just go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, give me 1 second to pull this up. Okay.
While he's getting his screen, Mr. Chair, could you please send me the link? I'm going to forward her the link.
If you go to the Zoom and go on participants, it's copy invite link on there.
Okay, thank you.
I sent her an email and I sent it through text.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So you should all see on screen a draft of a letter that is in support of a number of budgetary requests. This letter essentially echoes, and for the most part, in 3 of 4 instances, it echoes budgetary requests that were put forward by Ward 5 Councilmember Zachary Parker in his letter to Mayor Bowser related to the annual appropriations or budgeting process here in DC. We discussed this letter, the concept of sending a letter at the committee of the whole meeting that ANC 5D held at the end of February. I think that was the 27th. It was the last Monday of the month. And there was agreement among our group that we'd like to explore sending a letter. And so I offered to draft this letter, and then I was able to share the draft with the other members of the commission on March 6th, and then this final draft letter, which incorporated some feedback, was then part of the publicly noticed agenda that Commissioner Saucedo Guzman shared a week ago. The letter essentially echoes support for 4 things. The first being extended hours and resources for recreation centers to ensure that they are open on evenings and weekends and available to district youth. The second is the completion of the Carmel School Recreation Center, which is funded or has been funded, but there are concerns about funding being adequate. So this echoes that request from Councilmember Parker. The third relates to previously discussed parcel in Carver Langston that we are pursuing as potential park space. And the fourth is a bit unique in that it wasn't explicitly in the council member's letter, but it's the acquisition of the Pepco lot in Trinidad, which we would then like to see converted into some form of green space. So that one wasn't included in quite the same way, although he did make general references to support for additional green spaces that residents have been pursuing. Commissioner Cobb, if you want to weigh in on that, you're certainly welcome to. I see your hand went up. But in any case, that's the four things that this letter asks for. Obviously in more detail than what I just provided, but we're really echoing council member requests and asking the mayor to prioritize these requests in her budget.
Okay, are there any commissioners' questions?
I can just weigh in really quickly about the
Go ahead.
Trinidad portion. Thank you, Commissioner May, for including the language about the Trinidad green space in your letter. It is sort of implicitly mentioned in the council member's budget letter where he requests grant funds to fund the conversion of alley lots to green space in Trinidad, Eckington, and I think Brookland or another neighborhood like that. So it is in there. It's just not expressly stated, as clearly. But the council member is making that budget request with the intention of trying to turn the Trinidad lot into green space.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? Any questions from the public? Just a friendly reminder, this was provided to everyone that is on our listserv and was available on our website for view. So if you didn't know, now you know, but we do ensure that you get the agenda in advance to properly review some things. And hey, maybe reach out to your ANC commissioner to have them ask questions during the meeting. But are there any other questions, any comments, any addendums, any additions that we want to address on this letter?
I just think it's great. Thanks for putting this letter together. It's much needed, and definitely have my support.
I second that, Commissioner Rhodes.
Okay, perfect. I also do support this letter, as I believe that green space is much needed here in South Ward 5, let alone just space that isn't covered with litter or illegal dumping. This does give an opportunity for some of these sites to kind of stay away from that and not just become hotbeds of activity that we don't want to see, and that just become typical 3-in-1 request sites. So Commissioner May, I'll let you make the motion to get the support from the commission in this letter.
All right, I move that we support this letter to Mayor Bowser in regard to Ward 5 budget request.
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Cobb. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Okay, any abstained? I'm sorry, any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. We approve and move forward with this letter to the mayor. Thank you, Commissioner May, for putting this together. Okay, so this kind of comes to the end of our meeting, 10:03. We only have a few minutes left here. Community feedback and questions. If there are any participants remaining on the call on the Zoom, feel free to raise your hand if you want to directly speak or ask a question to save time. If it's something very specific that you believe can be saved for an email to your ANC commissioner or myself as chair, feel free to refrain and just save that for later. We get emails all the time, 24/7, so we wouldn't mind an extra one from you. But I do have one here, a question from the public. If one of the commissioners has any information on this, but is the settlement agreement with Food 7 Store and Sylvia Liquor Store on Benning Road and 19th being monitored to ensure a solid case for revocation of ABC license next cycle? I guess are any commissioners aware of that settlement agreement to bring it into ABRA's attention next time they apply for a liquor license?
No.
Okay, but I do see Commissioner McCollum taking notes, so I'm sure he's going to follow up specifically on that one.
I am.
Skip Keats, you have a question and you have the ability to unmute yourself to ask.
It's not so much a question, it's a comment. I
Yes.
fully agree with what you're choosing to do. Just so people are aware, I'm on that zoning and development committee with Kevin. What you're planning on doing per 1212 Oates. What I should be noted, I won't put it in the chat, but there's fretwork, decorative brick that was above the windows on the second floor. They've obliterated that. And when they put that roof back, it will actually block the upper edge of their new windows, which they've raised, because the roof line will have to match what's there. So when they shift, because they shifted the entire house upward, those windows will now be in shadow when they put the roof back. I just thought you might want to add that to whatever letter you send to the zoning board.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Keats. And I believe Guillermo Oreda wants to speak on the same matter as well. You have the ability to mute yourself.
Thank you. Good evening. Yeah, my name is Guillermo Rueda, and I've been retained by the adjoining neighbor at 1210, but not for zoning matters, actually. I was retained for some building code issues that he was having. But I wanted to speak to the board to let you understand that there's some factual problems with the presentation at 1212. Primarily, the building height issue is a question for you to consider because it is not compliant based on my analysis. The grade is not shown properly in their drawing. And if you look at their drawing, they measure the building height to be 34 foot 3 inches. And without boring you with a lot of detail, all you need to do is look at the photograph to see where the ground is, and then look at their drawing to see where they show the ground. And they show the ground at the top of the brick wall there's two brick walls that lead you down into the basement. And those walls are, handrail height, so we're going to call it 36 inches, right? And so they're showing that entire portion above the current sidewalk, the platform, not the sidewalk, the platform, between the sidewalk and the porch. They're actually showing that height at the top of those walls that I've just pointed out. And so if you add the addition, all you need to do to get to 35 feet is add 9 inches. And so that alone tells you that there's a building height problem, and that requires a variance before the board. And I'm not sure who certified this application, but it seems to me that would have been another concern to be raised, not only to you, but to the board. Additionally, to the points that various members of your board made about the objection to raising the first floor so significantly, that is a problem for them in a building height situation as well, because when you measure stories, which are limited in RF1 to 3, you have to consider the lower level when the first floor is higher than 5 feet above the ground. So suffice it to say, the building height is 4 stories. And so you should be considering that is also a requirement for variance. The last thing I'll comment is just specific to the roof that they don't show, right? They speak a lot about the porch roof and whatever. We know why that was raised. That was well articulated. But what it wasn't discussed was how are they going to replace the pent roof at the top, the one that's missing currently, and that they're stating, I guess, that they can't replace it until the stop work order is lifted. Well, because they've raised all of the openings to accommodate the new floor levels, which by the way weren't shown in their permit documents that way, but when they raised all those openings, that means that pent roof is also going to have to be raised, and by default the parapets on either side that flank that roof will also need to be raised. And or short of a study showing that they don't, because right now the submission to BZA does not include any information about the adjoining roofs. They just show their own property. So that's really in a nutshell. I mean, I could go on. I could provide a lot more analysis, but just so you understand, I think you've got more reasons to oppose it than you've actually articulated in the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I don't I don't think anyone from the commission was in favor of this project just because of how it came to be. And but we do appreciate your comments, and speaking as a chair for this commission, I do acknowledge that this is a clear example of a clear example of development in reference to gentrification. You build a project with no clear effort to really care about the surrounding area, and you do as you please. We do not support these kind of projects in 5D. We do not look towards having any of these type of projects in 5D. If you are a developer and you're watching this presentation, and if you're interested in doing a project in 5D, please ensure that you're working with the community. Please ensure that you're speaking with the neighbors. Please ensure that you have your folks that are getting paid to do this work, that they're doing it properly, because you're affecting our neighborhoods. You come in here for the profit of it all. By all means, that's your agenda, that's your job. Yo entiendo, but no. And when it comes to 5D, please ensure that when you're coming into a neighborhood and doing these projects, that you're doing them correctly. So we'll ensure that we move forward with opposing this project. And with that being said, I make a motion. I move that we adjourn tonight's meeting. Are there any commissioners that can second that?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rowe. Well, Blacknell was the hardest one. Second by Commissioner Blacknell. All in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting? Can I get an aye?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. We're adjourning tonight's meeting.
Thank you to the interpreters.
Yes, shout out to the interpreters for staying out with us a little later than usual. Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much. We really appreciate y'all. We really appreciate y'all. Everyone have a great night. Great rest of your night.
Wait a minute, Commissioner
Yes.
McCollum.
Yes, ma'am.
We need to talk.
Okay, give me a call right after this.
No, I emailed you my phone number. So
okay.
Okay, we can talk tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Talk tomorrow.
Goodbye, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of your night. Be safe.
Bye.